Part 86. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 851. What? You little brat, you stepped on my chest and kept saying you wanted to rob me? Damn it. I have been around for hundreds of years, and have a smooth journey. I have become the first person in Taoism. I wear a purple robe, have thousands of people surrendering, and have endless luck. As a result, now he is being robbed by a child with no hair? Wang Yangming looked at the face placed on his chest and suddenly became angry, and his face turned extremely dark. Hateful. Damn it. But the key point is that Wang Yangming now has no temper at all, and he dare not have one. After all, Wang Yangming only has one breath left at this moment, and will die soon if he doesn't get treatment. He really can't be stubborn. Haha, little brother Zing, are you kidding me? Wang Yangming sneered twice and said flatteringly, we are good brothers. Although we are not close to each other, we are close enough. How could you rob my elder brother? Who are you kidding? Su Zing stepped hard with the sole of his foot and said fiercely, I am a gangster and merciless. Don't talk about feelings with me. I take it lightly. Hurry up, don't wait any longer, hand over your storage ring. Su Zing threatened, otherwise, I will do it myself. Although my strength is not as strong as yours, or even vastly different, I have a talent. I am particularly sensitive to things like spiritual energy. Su Zing lowered his head, looked down at Wang Yangming who was lying on the ground, and said with a playful smile, I can sense that there seems to be good things in your stomach, and you have strong vitality. If I guess correctly, that thing should be what you use to save your life, right? Su Zing asked tentatively. No. No, there is nothing in my belly. You must have sensed it wrong. Wang Yangming's heart tightened, a strange color flashed in his eyes, and he responded hastily. At the same time, he was extremely curious. Even Su Wuzi didn't notice the elixir in his belly, otherwise Su Wuzi wouldn't have given him the 50,000-year-old elixir. But how did Su Zing figure it out? Could it be that this little guy really has some kind of special talent? You don't admit it, do you? Su Zing showed a smile, and then said, in this case, don't blame me, I will open your stomach later, take out that thing, and see what it is. Brother Wang, according to what he said, you have nothing to save your life anyway. If I don't give you the old medicine, you will definitely die. It is better to die sooner than later, so as to save the pain. Su Zing smiled and said, we are brothers who want to be the boss. My great-great-grandfather will send you on your way. If you don't want to, then let me do it for you. After saying that, Su Zing took out a dagger from the storage ring with a thought in his mind, flashing a cold light. This dagger was something he snatched from someone else. It was extremely sharp and capable of making decisive decisions. Fuck. When Wang Yangming saw that Su Zing was getting serious, he was immediately frightened. He gritted his teeth and said, you Su family members are more sinister and ruthless than the other. I'm afraid of you. I admit that I did take the life-saving elixir beforehand. The elixir is in my belly. As long as I refine it, the injury will be restored to its original state soon, and it will not affect the recovery of spiritual energy tonight. After saying that, Wang Yangming's eyes fell on Su Wuji and said with a dark face, Brother Su, I admit it. Let's forget about it and take care of your great-great-grandson. You didn't learn well at a young age, and you actually started robbing. How can you do that in the future? Wang Yangming persuaded seriously, education must start from the childhood. Criticize him severely and stop his behavior. It is best to let him apologize to me. Wang Yangming. Before Wang Yangming finished speaking, Su Wuji also came over and interrupted, I remember you have a sword, which is quite good. It seems to be called Tianxing sword. To be honest, when I entered the Quasi-Emperor realm, I sacrificed my own body. Until now, I don't have any weapons at my disposal. Suwaji continued, you know me, I like to show off. Many times, it's better to use a sword to deal with small characters. A sword shines coldly across 19 states, staining the country with blood for 90,000 miles. When I think of this picture, my blood boils, it's so cool. So, Brother Wang, I have a heartfelt request. Can you give me your Tianxing sword? Suwaji said seriously, don't worry, I will definitely use it well and spread the reputation of Tianxing sword throughout the world and never let it get dusty. You're thinking shit. Wang Yangming refused directly and decisively, although the Tianxing sword is not a Taoist treasure, it is also a rare sword in the world. I have collected it for many years and have been reluctant to use it. You want my Tianxing sword just because you talk about it? Are you kidding me? Stop dreaming. That's it? After being rejected, Suwaji spread his hands helplessly and said, there's nothing I can do about it. I want the Tianxing sword so much. Since you won't give it to me, I have no choice but to rob it. Wang Yangming, do you want me to interact with you, or should I search for it myself? At this point, Suwaji's expression turned cold. Robbery. Damn, you're robbing too. Wang Yangming straightened his neck, looked at Suzing, and then at Suwaji, and suddenly became furious and cursed, bandits, your Su family's upper beams are not straight and the lower beams are crooked, you are all bandits, there is no justice. Shut up. You'd better not move around. If you get injured and burp in advance, you won't even have a chance to refine the elixir in your belly. Suwaji smiled and reminded him kindly, then squatted down and skillfully searched for Wang Yangming's storage ring. Great-grandfather, he doesn't have a storage ring on his hand. Do you know where he hid the storage ring? Suzing asked curiously when he saw his great-grandfather rummaging through. Haha, let me take care of it. You can follow and learn from it. Suwaji's hands searched around Wang Yangming's body, but found nothing. But Suwaji did not show a disappointed expression, because he knew that Wang Yangming must have a storage ring. So, Suwaji started to look through Wang Yangming's clothes, and soon noticed something was wrong with the clothes around Wang Yangming's waist. Although there is nothing special here, it is normal, but there is a weak spiritual energy fluctuation. Found it? Suwaji reached out, pulled hard, and tore off the cloth from the waist of Wang Yangming's clothes. Great-grandfather, why are you tearing his clothes off? Is this cloth valuable? Suzing looked at Wang Yangming's clothes, his eyes lit up, and he was ready to take off his clothes. No. Suwaji smiled and explained, this piece of cloth is what he uses to store things. Actually, storage ring is just a general term. It is a space formation used by cultivators to store things. Suwaji continued, this formation can be engraved on almost any object, but it looks more handsome when placed on a ring. If there were a master who could refine space formations in modern times, he would probably imprint space formations on watches and mobile phones. But it is a pity that the earth belongs to the age of Dharma. I have never heard of anyone who knows how to arrange space formations. Almost all the ones we use now are left over from the Xianqin period. Suwaji glanced at the cloth in his hand and smiled softly, Wang Yangming's storage ring is just this piece of cloth. It has a space formation on it and forms its own space inside. It can be used in the same way as a storage ring. So that's it? Suzing showed an expression of sudden realization and said directly, Great-grandfather, according to the regulations of our industry, anyone who meets you has a share. Besides, he proposed the robbery first. I must have a share in the things here. All brothers must settle the accounts. Great-grandfather, are you right? Haha, you little guy. Suwaji smiled and said, don't worry, I'll give you all his training supplies. All I need is the Tianxing sword. Hee hee, that's great, great-grandfather, you are so handsome, the most handsome in the world. Su Jing smiled and flattered him. The little mouth is so sweet. Suwaji smiled, and then with a thought, he broke open the fabric, entered the space inside, took out the Tianxing sword, and held it in his hand. This sword is as white as jade, with runes all over its body, exuding terrifying power. What a sword! After Suwaji looked at it carefully, he couldn't help but praise, although it is not an imperial weapon, it is second only to the imperial weapon. If you nourish it well, it will definitely become an imperial weapon in the future. I got a bargain today. Subsequently, Suwaji put the Tianxing sword into his body, then threw the cloth to Su Jing, and smiled softly. Jing, here you go, although Wang Yangming's assets are not rich enough, they are pretty good. Hey hey. Su Jing took the cloth and began to count his harvest on the spot. Damn, you guys have gone too far. You just rob, and you still divide the spoils in front of the rightful owner. Seeing this, Wang Yangming said angrily, have you considered my feelings? Sorry, brother Wang, this is my first serious robbery, so I have no experience. Suwaji hurriedly smiled and said, Zink is still young and has no experience in this area. Don't worry. Next time we rob you, we will pay more attention and take your participation experience into consideration. Piss off. Do you really want to have a next time? Wang Yangming had a dark face, wishing he could get up immediately and give Suwaji and Su Jing a big competition. At this moment, his plan was exposed, and both Suwaji and Su Jing knew that he had a pill in his belly. So Wang Yangming stopped hiding it and started refining the life-saving elixir. His body felt a little better. Whether there is a next time depends on whether you are honest or not. Wang Yangming was already sitting cross-legged. He couldn't help but spit again and said casually, he is in Dongshan. There is a cave over there. You can see it when you go in. I just came down from Wudane Mountain, what does it have to do with me? Really? I'm not mistaken, you know how. You are definitely no match for Su Yang. With all due respect, even if the two of you are tied together, you can't beat Su Yang. He, great-grandfather, I will cheer for you from the side. Wang Yangming, where is my great-grandson? I can't wait to see him. Wang Yangming said angrily, you Su family really don't have any good things, they all like to grab things, bah. What? Wang Yangming continued, also, based on your understanding of me, do you think I would give resources to others that I am reluctant to use myself? Half of the supplies are what I have accumulated over hundreds of years. I kept them for my retirement, but he robbed me of half of them before I even used them. How annoying. However, I don't suggest you try it. If there is a fight and Su Yang beats you to the ground, how can you pretend to be an ancestor? Why so little? Suwaji could naturally see that Wang Yangming was deliberately trying to antagonize him, but he still said unconvinced, Wang Yangming, there is no need for you to provoke me, he is just a junior kid. I don't believe it yet. I can't beat him. Wang Yangming probably irritated Suwaji, so he curled his lips and said, it will be so embarrassing by then. Suwaji smiled softly, then said with disgust, but, brother Wang, I have to criticize you. Zing, come with me. Let's go find your father and beat him up. Didn't he blow your brains out? I'll take it as revenge for you today, Suwaji said. When you enter the cave, be sure to identify yourself first. Don't deliberately keep silent, or you may get beaten up by that boy Su Yang. Wang Yangming reminded him with good intentions on the surface, but in fact he was holding back bad ideas. Wang Yangming said angrily, Suwaji, do you still have the nerve to ask? You have always been good at cheating. I remember that you already had a lot of resources in your storage ring. How come 100 years have passed, and the resources in your storage ring have become less and less, and there are still so many less? Wang Yangming, you have tricked me so many times, and now you are sanctioned by the descendants of the Su family. This is all retribution, ha ha ha. Wang Yangming said seriously, Su Yang is in the cave now. If you don't believe it, you can pretend that you are an outsider and try to break in. Your uncle, you did a great job, Ba. Su Wuji couldn't help but laugh and said, great-grandson, Su Yang, haha, well done. Fuck. Is he capable of beating me? When Su Wuji heard this, he immediately became unhappy. Wang Yangming, are you not mistaken? I, Su Wuji, have dominated an era and am now a powerful quasi-emperor. Will I be beaten by my great-grandson? Wang Yangming gritted his teeth and said, just today, not long ago, your good great-grandson Su Yang took away half of my cultivation supplies from me. Su Wuji asked doubtfully, is it possible that your cultivation consumes a lot of money, or did you give it to others? No, I rarely use my own resources in my practice. All the famous mountains treat me with respect. If I'm short of resources, I can just walk around and reveal some secrets. I can't use up all the resources I get. Of course it does matter. After Su Wuji heard this, he was instantly furious and his face was clouded. But the next moment, he changed his appearance and said with a proud smile, it's, well done. As soon as he heard that his great-great-grandfather was going to beat Su Yang, Su Xing was instantly excited. His eyes were full of expectation, and he followed Su Wuji in a hurry. You are my best friend and dead brother. That bastard Su Yang dares to steal your supplies. It's so abominable, it's just. Yes, then why do you lack so many resources? Su Wuji asked curiously. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 852. In this way, Su Wuji took Su Xing and left the Su family manor and went straight to Dongshan Cave Mansion. Watching the living ancestors leave, Wang Yangming breathed a sigh of relief and raised a playful smile at the corner of his mouth. Su Wuji, you big fool. Although Su Yang is only at the peak of nascent soul and is far inferior to you, he can control formations in the cave. Wang Yangming smiled and said, if you enter the formation and 108 killing formations are activated at the same time, even if you forcefully break the formation, you will not be able to get out in a short time. Even if you come out, I will give you a layer of skin to peel off. It's pitiful. Wang Yangming smiled softly and said, ha ha ha, I can already picture you resisting the killing array while begging for mercy from your great-grandson. You deserve to be allowed to snatch my Tianxing sword. This time, your old face will be completely disgraced. And that brat Su Xing, he's so stupid, he's so young, he's so wild, he actually wants to be a gangster, and he actually takes action, damn it. Wang Yangming gritted his teeth and said, if it weren't for him, Su Wuji would have just given me the 50,000-year-old medicine, the 50,000-year-old medicine, and so on. Damn it, after a long time, this little guy Su Xing is the biggest winner, what the hell? That 50,000-year-old medicinal plant was put into the storage ring without leaving a trace. He also took away the other half of my resources. Wang Yangming said angrily, this brat has no hair, but he has so many thoughts. It's so abominable. But fortunately, I didn't put all my eggs in one basket, and now I still have a storage space on me. Thinking of this, Wang Yangming thought, and a storage bag appeared in his palm. Since refining the elixir was easy for Wang Yangming, he could concentrate on other things. The storage bag in his hand now was what he had hidden in his clothes. Wang Yangming's clothes have a total of 2 storage spaces. In order to hide the most important storage space, the fabric he deliberately asked Su Wuji to take away emitted a trace of spiritual energy fluctuations, which was regarded as a storage bag in his hand. Cover. After not seeing each other for 100 years, Wang Yangming didn't know how strong Su Wuji was. He was afraid that if Su Wuji continued to search, both of his storage spaces would be discovered, so he had to abandon the car to save Shui. This storage bag was placed in the clothes storage space. At this time, Wang Yangming opened the storage bag and took a look inside. Haha, after giving Su Yang half of the training supplies, only 1/3 of my remaining supplies are in the storage fabric, and most of them are in this storage bag. When Wang Yangming saw that most of his supplies were there, he immediately became extremely happy. I'm so happy. That Su Wazi big fool and Suzing little fool are being fooled around by me, ha ha ha. Wait, something is wrong, damn, I still lost 1/3 of the supplies, I'm so happy. Wang Yangming reacted, his expression turned ugly again, and he gritted his teeth and said, Su Yang, Su Wazi, Suzing, just wait for me, I will definitely settle this account with you. After uttering the harsh words, Wang Yangming's eyes fell on the storage bag, and he was finally attracted by the clothes inside, and took it out with a thought. Buzz. Wang Yangming made up his mind, and then put the wide-sleeved fairy skirt into his storage bag. Wow, what a beautiful blue dress! Coupled with Zao's teachings, as well as the ice bed and various resources of the 11 families' ancestral land. This is reasonable. Su Yu is the combination of Su Yang and Qian Shangxiu, and she is born into the Tian zone. Humph, if anyone dares to laugh at me tonight, I will write it down one by one and settle the accounts one by one afterwards. Seriously, this is my most precious treasure at the moment. At that time, in order to promote the recovery of spiritual energy, Wang Yangming had no choice but to put on a flowing fairy dress with wide sleeves and go to hold back the flame dragon immortal emperor. Yes, this little loli who suddenly appeared is Su Yang's daughter, Su Yu. In order to make this fairy dress with wide sleeves, Zilong spent many years of hard work and arranged formations on it to increase its defense capabilities. Therefore, Wang Yangming did not want to wear a fairy skirt with wide sleeves in many cases, such as when he was in Dongshan Cave Mansion. Su Wazi, originally I planned to step forward at the critical moment and use my body to protect your Su family, but now it seems that I have to think about it carefully. Therefore, Wang Yangming would rather give up part of his assets than use this fairy dress with wide sleeves. Wang Yangming murmured to himself, back then Zilong was a real strong man in the imperial realm. The formation he arranged on this piece of clothing, if fully activated, could completely withstand the attacks of the imperial realm. Even the real imperial realm could not break it. Turn on this thing's defense. She was originally brought to the 11 families' ancestral land by Zao and devoted herself to training. Last night, she had already reached the peak of martial arts. Haha, it's so beautiful. This fairy dress with wide sleeves has a great origin. It was made by Zilong, the first emperor of the immortal Qin dynasty, who worked hard for his beloved woman. Unfortunately, the beauty left before she could give it away. Wang Yangming smiled playfully, at least you have to return everything you took from me, and then I will save you, otherwise there will be no discussion. It's just that he is a man, and he is also the first Taoist. He can't accept it when he is asked to wear a skirt. It is too embarrassing. When he thought of this, Wang Yangming felt secretly happy. Wang Yangming was fortunate enough to receive part of the inheritance, and this fairy dress with wide sleeves was one of the inheritances. Su Yu. As long as Wang Yangming wears a flowing fairy skirt with wide sleeves, he can completely ignore the attacks of the killing array and remain safe. Especially her timid expression, I felt pity for her, which made me feel a strong desire to protect her. When the first Emperor Zilong left the earth, he left behind many things. A little girl of about 5 years old slowly walked into the Su family manor and stood timidly 5 meters away from Wang Yangming. The 5-year-old Wu Zun at his peak was simply appalling. But at this moment, a little girl's voice suddenly came from not far away, sounding soft and waxy. Wang Yangming raised his head, looked at the light blue fairy skirt with wide sleeves, and said with a proud smile, since then, Zilong has sealed this thing away and will never let it appear again. Certainly. The little girl wears 2 braids, has a rosy face, and big watery eyes. The next moment, a light blue fairy dress with wide sleeves floated in the air. The 2 long sleeves moved automatically without wind, full of fairy spirit. Wang Yangming smiled and said, "The spiritual energy will be revived tonight. As long as I wear it, no one can cause any harm to me, he he he." But then Su Yang and Bai Qi would see him wearing a skirt, and the scene would be too embarrassing. Immediately afterwards. Nowadays, it is completely reasonable for Su Yu to reach the peak of martial lord. But tonight, it is very crucial, the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor may come. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 853. Originally, Su Yu was practicing in the 11 family's ancestral land, but after Su Xing left, she couldn't calm down. Just yesterday, Su Yu received news from Zhao again. When she learned that Zhao was leaving the earth, she was even more unable to calm down and practice in the 11 family's ancestral land. Although Zhao asked her to wait for Su Yang to pick her up at the Zijia ancestral land, she still left the Zijia ancestral land by herself. Su Xing is so young, he can run away from home and wander around alone. I am stronger than Su Xing, why can't I go find my father alone? This idea became stronger and stronger in Su Yu's heart, so she found the Su family manor in Jiangbei alone. Who knew that as soon as I arrived at the manor, I saw a very beautiful dress floating in the air. Su Yu was immediately attracted to the light blue wide-sleeved fairy dress. It was so beautiful, I really wanted it. Wang Yangming, who was sitting cross-legged in meditation and refining the life-saving elixir, didn't know Su Yu and didn't know that Su Yu was from the Su family. The first time he saw Su Yu, he had a particularly good impression of Su Yu. What a cute little loli. The key is to be timid, pitiful, and lovable. This is what a 5-year-old child should be like. At the same age, in comparison, that ruthless gangster Su Xing was simply too exhausted. This little loli looks so comfortable, haha, so cute, I really want to pinch her cheeks. At this time, Wang Yangming had refined some of the elixirs and was still slowly recovering from his injuries. He now had little fighting power. However, facing Su Yu, Wang Yangming was not wary, or even defenseless. After all, there was only a little girl of 4 or 5 years old opposite her. She was so pitiful and frail. Therefore, Wang Yangming didn't bother to check Su Yu's strength, thinking it was unnecessary. He was injured now, so it would take a lot of effort to check. Kid. At this time, Wang Yangming was refining the elixir, looking at Su Yu kindly, and asked with a smile, "What is your name, and what are you doing here?" "My name is Yu." Su Yu answered the first question but not the second, and was full of vigilance towards Wang Yangming. "Yu, your name is so nice." Wang Yangming smiled softly, and then comforted him, "Yu, don't be nervous, I'm not a bad person. Look at my clothes. In fact, I'm a Taoist priest, a very powerful one." "Oh." Su Yu nodded, then looked at the wide-sleeved fairy skirt floating in the air, and asked curiously, "Uncle, is this skirt yours?" "Yes," Wang Yangming responded with a smile, "it's mine." "Does it look good?" "Yeah, it looks good." Su Yu stared at the fairy skirt with wide sleeves, her little head nodding like a chicken pecking at rice. From this, it can be seen how much she likes the skirt. Haha. Wang Yangming naturally saw it, and he also liked this little loli with 2 braids. Although it was the first time they met and they were not familiar with each other, but the other party was just an ordinary little girl of a few years old, Wang Yangming was unprepared and said with a smile, "Since you like it, you can put it on and let me see if it looks pretty." "Okay." Su Yu happily agreed, but then said in disappointment, It's too big. I can't wear it for such a small one. Haha, that's not a problem. Uncle's skirt is magical. It can be made bigger or smaller at will. Suyuyo's expression changed rapidly from happy to depressed, and her innocence directly made Wang Yangming's heart cute. Therefore, Wang Yangming used his hands to control the size of the wide-sleeved flowing fairy skirt in mid-air to shrink, and it soon fit Suyuyo's size. Immediately afterwards, Wang Yangming waved his hand, and the fairy skirt with wide sleeves was put on Suyuyo directly. Nice. As expected of the deep sea blue, it looks best on a girl. Wang Yangming looked at Suyuyo and said with a smile, Yuyo, this dress is called Deep Love Blue. The blue of deep love, the name is so beautiful, and it is really beautiful. Uncle, where did you buy it and how much did it cost? Suyuyo asked, planning to buy one too. This cannot be measured by money. There is only one thing in the world that has a very, very big effect. Wang Yangming met Suyuyo's gaze and smiled softly, we met today, so we are destined. I think you really have this skirt. Let's do this. Wherever you live, I will find someone to make a skirt of the same style and deliver it to your home by express delivery. Mom said you can't tell strangers your home address. Suyuyo shook her head, wary of Wang Yangming, and then said, I'll return the skirt to you. Thank you for letting me try it on. Haha, what a polite boy. Wang Yangming smiled and then said, Uncle has something important to do tonight and needs to use the skirt, otherwise I will definitely lend it to you to wear for a few more days. Uncle, do you want to confess your love to someone tonight? Suyuyo asked curiously. It's not a confession, it's revenge. Wang Yangming gritted his teeth and said, Uncle was robbed twice by the Su family today, so Uncle will find an opportunity to take revenge tonight. This wide-sleeved flowing fairy skirt of deep sea blue is not just a skirt, it is very powerful. As long as I wear it, no matter how powerful the master is, I can't be hurt. Wang Yangming said fiercely, as long as I wear it, all the old and young in the Su family will be tortured like dogs by me, ha ha ha. Yuyo, don't be scared by me. I'm not targeting you, I'm targeting the Su family, Wang Yangming also added, for fear of ruining his impression in the little Lolita's mind. The Su family? Uncle, who are you talking about? Suyuyo seemed to realize something, took a step back, and asked tentatively. Who else could it be? Of course. Wang Yangming glanced at Suyuyo, and then said, you are just a kid anyway, so it doesn't matter if I tell you. The Su family I'm talking about are the owners of this manor. This morning, a bitch named Su Yang tricked me a lot just now, two more Su family members came, one named Su Wuji and the other named Su Zeng, and they tricked me badly. Wang Yangming gritted his teeth and said, the people in the Su family are not good people. They are more like thieves than the others. They are so hateful. When I recover from my injury tonight, I must take care of them. Uncle. Suyuyo completely understood that this person had a grudge against her family and wanted to seek revenge against her father and Su Zeng. So, she looked at Wang Yangming expressionlessly and said, do you know what my last name is? Last name? My surname is Su, Su Yang is my father, and Su Zeng is my brother. After the words fell, Suyuyo suddenly took action and hit Wang Yangming hard on the body with a palm. Originally, Wang Yangming had a storage bag in his arms, and it flew out. Suyuyo jumped up, grabbed the storage bag, and then disappeared on the spot wearing the deep sea blue. Witnessing Suyuyo disappear out of thin air, Wang Yangming was completely confused. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 854. Surname Su. Suyuyo? Su Yang is her father? Is that hairless little trash Su Zeng her brother? Damn it! Damn it, people should not be judged by their appearance. The ancients do not deceive me. You really can't just look at people by their appearance. I have a better memory this time. The girl from the Su family is really ruthless. Didn't I just say that I want to take revenge on Su Yang and the others? This little girl looked pitiful and cute 1 second, and then slapped me in the next second. Why don't you just give me a slap in the face? Lily, isn't she bio? Wang Yangming looked at the direction Su Yuyu left, rubbed his chest, and said angrily, if I hadn't already refined part of the life-saving elixir, her palm could have sent me on my way. Su Wuji and Su Xing tried to send me on my way but failed. If this little girl sends me on my way, my reputation in this life will be completely ruined. Wang Yangming gritted his teeth and said, you really can't mess with people from the Su family. Damn it! I'd better go around a little bit more in the future. After complaining, Wang Yangming put away the storage bag and found a safe place to refine the life-saving elixir. But then, he unexpectedly discovered that his storage bag was missing. Hey, where are you going? It was in my pocket just now. Wait, I seem to have remembered something, damn. Suddenly, Wang Yangming couldn't help but cursed, and said with a black face, that little girl just slapped me, and I flew backwards. The storage bag fell out of my pocket, and then, that little girl held me storage bag and left. Bandits, bandits, the whole Su family is a bandit. The Su family is a family of bandits. Wang Yangming gritted his teeth and said, I am really unlucky today. I have worked hard to accumulate hundreds of years of cultivation resources. Within a few hours, people from the Su family took turns taking them away. First it was Su Yang, then Su Wuji and Su Xing. I thought that was the end. I would still have a lot of resources left, and even the most important deep sea blue was still there. Everything would not be a big problem, but who knew, finally, another Su Yuyu appeared. How disgusting. Recalling what he had experienced today, Wang Yangming became angry, and then he thought of the blue of the deep sea, and his face became even more ugly. Blue of the deep sea, my god, my wide-sleeved fairy skirt was worn by that Su Yuyu. No wonder she suddenly disappeared under my nose just now. Damn it, she was wearing deep sea blue, so she could come and go without a trace. Below the imperial realm, no one can hurt him. Above the imperial realm, even if you are at the peak of the immortal emperor, it will take several days to break through the blue of the deep sea. This is simply invincible on earth. Wang Yangming lowered his head and paused, regretting, I was really stupid just now. I took out such an important treasure to show off, and even took the initiative to put it on the girl of the Su family. I am so stupid, I am just a pig. Ah. It's okay now, I have nothing left, the blue of the deep sea, my blue of the deep sea. Wang Yangming's face was filled with grief and he was about to cry without tears. He slumped on the ground, as if his strength had been drained. Within a few hours, he experienced the ups and downs of life. No, it should be downs and downs, but it was really uncomfortable when there were no ups and downs. Why? After a while, Wang Yangming's mood recovered a little, and he comforted himself, forget it, if they take it away, just take it away. There is reincarnation in the way of heaven. This sentence is correct for everyone. I have tricked Su Wuzi so many times before. I owe it to the Su family. A large part of those training resources came from Su Wuzi. Now they can be considered as returned to their original owners. Wang Yangming then murmured to himself, as for the blue of the deep sea, this fairy dress with wide sleeves was made by the first emperor, Zilong, and Su Yang was the third generation of Zilong. Su Yuyu is Su Yang's daughter, which can also be said to be the daughter of Zilong. Now that the deep sea blue has fallen into Su Yuyu's hands, it is logical and reasonable, and it has returned to its original owner. Wang Yangming analyzed, deep sea blue has its own spiritual wisdom. Fortunately, the person who took deep sea blue away was Su Yuyu. If it were anyone else, I wouldn't need to do it myself. Deep sea blue would reject it on its own. It can be seen that the Su Yuyu just now is really Su Yang's daughter. She has the blood of the ancestral dragon. That's why she was recognized by the blue of the deep sea in an instant and is willing to work for Suyuyu. Hey, all of this is fate. It's just a pity that since I got the blue of the deep sea, I haven't worn it once. Wang Yangming sighed again, and then said, I planned to be a cross-dressing boss today, but now it seems I have no chance. Forget it, I'd better refine the elixir quickly. It's important to revive the spiritual energy. The Su family is unkind to me, and I can't be unjust to the people of the world. I, Wang Yangming, am really a good man with a heart for the world and a sense of justice, while the Su family is just a bunch of cowards, huh. Wang Yangming praised himself fiercely, and then belittled the Su family to ease his uncomfortable mood at the moment. As expected, after saying this, he felt much more comfortable and left the Su family manor happily. At the same time, Jiangbei, somewhere in a barren mountain, Suyuyu, dressed in deep sea blue, suddenly appeared, as if she appeared out of thin air. What the hell are you? At this time, Suyuyu was very frightened, but she didn't show it. Instead, she pretended to be calm and asked. Zhao has taught her that the more scared you are, the less likely you are to let the other person see that you are scared, otherwise it will only be more detrimental to you. Suyuyu kept Zhao's teachings in mind, so she seemed very calm at the moment. But in her heart, she was really scared, because the wide-sleeved flowing fairy dress she was wearing had turned into a spirit and would take the initiative to speak. Even just now, she only planned to teach Wang Yangming a lesson and had no intention of grabbing the storage bag, but deep sea blue could control her body. Suyuyu was completely out of control at the time. Although she was conscious, she could only watch as she took the storage bag and then disappeared out of thin air, leaving the Su family manor. Little master, don't panic, I won't hurt you at this moment, an ethereal girl's voice sounded in Suyuyu's mind. Little master? Who are you? Answer my question quickly. Suyuyu was very scared, but she frowned slightly and pretended to be calm and asked. I am deep sea blue. When my master made me, he used many precious things. After more than 2,000 years of changes, I developed spiritual intelligence. You can call me Xiaolan. The voice in my mind sounded again, with a gentle and respectful tone, Little master, Xiaolan has recognized you as my master, and is completely bound to you. You can decide whether I exist or not. If you don't like Xiaolan, that's okay. Just think about it and Xiaolan will lose his intelligence and disappear. You can still use deep sea blue normally. When she said the next words, Xiaolan felt a little disappointed and sad. She obviously didn't want to die like this, but she still said it and respected the little master's decision. Suyuyu naturally noticed Xiaolan's attitude towards her, and her nervousness was relieved a little, and then said, although I don't know how you were born with intelligence, it must be difficult, and I won't let you disappear. That's great, thank you, little master, Xiaolan said happily and gratefully. Why do you call me little master? Suyuyu asked curiously, aren't you the same person just now? Why did you choose to follow me? Little master, the man you are talking about is Wang Yangming. He is not worthy of me to follow him. Xiaolan continued, Wang Yangming only obtained part of my master's inheritance by means of calculating heavenly secrets. I am also among the ones he obtained, but I will not follow him. It's just that he and my master have the same goal, and he can be considered a good person, so I will stay with him until I find the master's bloodline. Xiaolan continued, I have noticed that he wants to wear me tonight to fight against outsiders, and I am very reluctant to do so. He is a man, and he wants to wear me. It feels uncomfortable no matter how much he thinks about it, but in order to promote the recovery of spiritual energy, I have to reluctantly let him wear it. Xiaolan continued, but, little master, after meeting you, I don't have to force myself anymore. You have the blood of the master in your body, and I belong to you. You can wear me tonight, and we will help the master together to revive the spirit, Xiaolan said happily. The blood in my body, who is your master? Su Yuyu asked curiously. The first emperor Zilong, of course his name is Su Yang now, and he is your father. Xiaolan said happily, little master, I am so powerful. If you wear me, almost no one can hurt you, and I can also allow you to break through yourself and have powerful power, and it will not harm your body, causing any harm and not squeezing your body by using me. Your master is my father. When Su Yuyu heard this, she was completely relieved. Then she remembered something and frowned. You just said that Wang Yangming is a good person. Yes. Xiaolan said, he is the old master of Tianji sect and the number one person in Taoism. If he has a wrong mind, he will not be able to sit in this position, and he will even be punished by God. He is a person who truly cares about the world. He is the enemy of my father and Suzing, and he wants to avenge my father and brother. Su Yuyu pouted and said, if he is a good person, do you mean that my father and Suzing are bad people? Of course not, I don't know your brother, but how could the master be a bad person? Xiaolan explained, the matter between Wang Yangming and his master is quite complicated. In short, they are good friends. This is just a joke and cannot be taken seriously. Like this. Su Yuyu nodded in understanding, and then asked, since he is a good person, why did you control my body and steal his storage bag just now? Ahem. Xiaolan was slightly embarrassed and said instead, I have no choice but to do it. My master, your level is too low and you are an ancient warrior. You cannot provide me with a steady stream of spiritual energy. Hey, Sister Xiaolan, I'm kidding you, I don't care about this. Fortunately, with Xiaolan's guidance, Su Yuyu is quickly understanding the blue of the deep sea. Su Yuyu smiled happily and said, let's go, you take me to find Dad. Although I have saved some spiritual energy, I definitely can't fight for a long time, so I snatched Wang Yangming's storage bag and used the cultivation resources in it to replenish spiritual energy at any time, Xiaolan explained. That's not right. Jiangbei, outside Dongshan Cave Mansion. Su Yuyu understood, and then asked, Xiaolan, your voice sounds nice, you must be beautiful, can I take a look at you? Xiaolan suggested, little master, the master is in Dongshan. Although it is far from here, I can send you there in an instant. Su Yuyu nodded, accepted Xiaolan's proposal, and began to control the blue of the deep sea bit by bit. Xiaolan doesn't dare. Don't call me little master, we can be good friends. You call me Yuyu, and I'll call you Sister Xiaolan. Su Yuyu smiled sincerely. No. At this moment. The first time she used it, she used too much force and appeared in Jiangnan province in an instant. Su Yuyu smiled innocently and said, your voice sounds like a teenage sister. I'll call you Sister Xiaolan. All right. I'm sorry, little master, I just developed intelligence and haven't transformed yet, so I can only make sounds, you can't see me, Xiaolan responded respectfully. Okay, we'll talk about it later. Xiaolan responded, I can see a lot of things that happened before, but I was locked in the storage bag by Wang Yangming. I was cut off from the air and couldn't contact the owner. Suwuji and Suzing, the great-grandfather and great-great-grandson duo, appeared quietly. Okay. Little master, Xiaolan is so ashamed, Xiaolan said flattered. I did control you, but that's because you are too weak, young, and have weak consciousness. Xiaolan said bluntly. Su Yuyu asked curiously, didn't you control me just now? I felt that my body was out of control. Sister Xiaolan. When Su Yuyu heard this, her face darkened, you are so direct in your speech, why can't you say I'm weak in a tactful way? Ah, little master, I'll pay attention next time, Xiaolan said helplessly and respectfully. In addition, although my defense is very strong and I have a strong attack power, after all, I am just a piece of clothing. I need to be put on by others so that I can play my role. Xiaolan continued, but if that happens, I will become an object and can only be controlled by the person who wears me. I cannot control the person who wears me, so I am in Wang Yangming's storage bag. Been here for hundreds of years. Xiaolan said quickly, little master, if you insist on calling me Sister Xiaolan, then I can only be forced to accept it. This is your freedom, but Xiaolan must not call you by your name. Suyuyu could tell that Xiaolan was serious, so she didn't force Xiaolan, and then asked, Xiaolan, do you know where my father is? So that's it? That's okay too. However, I suggest you try to get familiar with me first, so that we can cooperate better tonight. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 855. Great-great-grandfather, Su Yang is inside. Go in and beat him, Su Xing said excitedly, looking forward to seeing his father being beaten. Xing, what's wrong with you? I can call him Su Yang. I'm an elder and you are his son. How can you just call him by his name? Suwuji looked at Su Xing and said seriously, don't do this next time. You must know how to respect your elders. Okay, great-grandfather, I listen to you. Can you go beat up my dad now? Su Xing nodded. Haha, of course, just wait and see. If I don't beat him to pieces, I won't be Suwuzi. Suwuji showed a playful smile, and then entered the cave. But then, he thought of a question, that boy Su Yang has never seen me, so he must not recognize me. But Xing, he knows you. If you show up with me, will he guess my identity? Then he won't fight with me. Suwuji said, besides, as his great-grandfather, I have no reason or excuse, and I can't beat him out of nowhere. This is easy to handle. Su Xing rolled his eyes and quickly came up with an idea, great-great-grandfather, when you see my father later, you can threaten him with me and say that I have been kidnapped by you. In this case, my father will not only fight with you, but also use all means. Su Xing smiled playfully, I just like to see him trying his best, but still being mercilessly crushed by your great-grandfather. He must be very desperate and powerless, ha ha ha. Ha ha, Xing, you are such a bad boy, I like it. Suwuji nodded and said, okay, that's it, let's go in. Okay. Su Xing chuckled, and then followed Suwuji and strode into the cave. At this moment, inside the cave, Su Yang sat cross-legged and was executing the 9 nether prison suppression technique. After practicing for several hours, he used up a dragon crystal and other resources, and finally reached the realm of divine transformation. During the promotion, Lei Ji appeared and was directly crushed by Su Yang in an invincible manner. The thick thunderbolt at the mouth of the bowl was vulnerable to a blow in Su Yang's eyes, and it could be disintegrated with a single strike of the 100-life reincarnation fist. Your Majesty's along, I have only seen this method of breaking through thunder calamity in you. At this moment, Bai Qi looked at Su Yang, his eyes full of respect. Other highly talented monsters can also face the thunder tribulation, or even break it, but they will more or less have to pay the price. But you were unscathed and relaxed, as if you had just done a simple thing. Bai Qi smiled bitterly and said, in comparison, your Majesty's along, you are simply more evil than a monster. Stop flattering me. I'm still too weak now, and there's still a big gap between me and you. Su Yang shook his head and said, I am new to becoming a god. With the help of Dragon Crystal, I can reach the peak of god transformation in one step. This span is a bit big. For future considerations, I need to stabilize for a while before making a breakthrough. His Majesty's along has considered everything carefully. Just practice slowly. Even if you are now crossing the tribulation and becoming a quasi-emperor, it doesn't make much difference. There are many quasi-emperors on our side tonight. Bai Qi said, we will try our best to revive the spiritual energy. Well, I hope so. Su Yang nodded. At this moment, he suddenly noticed someone entering the cave. He frowned and said, Suzeng. Why is he here? Who is the other person? What a strong aura. Quasi-Emperor, peak. Bai Qi naturally noticed it, and said with a solemn expression, Your Majesty, there is a Quasi-Emperor among them, whose strength is on par with mine. It's strange. I know all the Quasi-Emperors who escaped the disaster, but that person's aura is very unfamiliar to me. He shouldn't be the Quasi-Emperor of the Earth. Bai Qi came to a conclusion and guessed, could he be an extraterrestrial Quasi-Emperor who came to Earth through some special method? This possibility cannot be ruled out. Su Yang stood ready and said sternly, the time is almost up. The spiritual energy is getting closer and closer. If the Quasi-Emperor from outside the territory can come to the Earth, he will definitely not be able to sit still at this time and will come to the cave to find out. Your Majesty, what should we do? Should we hide or just? Bai Qi asked. Hide. Why hide? Su Yang sneered and said, I have mastered the 108 killing formations here. I am in the cave and I control the formations. Even at the peak of the Quasi-Emperor, I will have a headache in a short time and cannot break the formations. The strength of this person is equal to yours. The two of us will join forces. I will use the formation to trap him. If you look for an opportunity to make a sneak attack, you will definitely be able to kill him and avoid future trouble. Su Yang had a murderous intent in his eyes. Yes. Bai Didion nodded, with an excited look on his face, as if he had returned to the immortal Qin period and followed the ancestral dragon to conquer the 8 wastelands. When you take action, be careful not to hurt that child. He is my son, Su Yang reminded. Understood, my subordinate must, Your Majesty's along, you actually have descendants. Bai Qi was extremely surprised. Yes, Su Yang nodded without denying it. Ha ha ha, great, Zilong finally has his own offspring. Bai Qi looked up to the sky and laughed, then said, you fell in love with one person back then, but God was not kind to you. I won't mention these. In short, you were always alone and adopted several children. The person you admire most is young Master Fusu. His talents are among the best. However, he has no intention of governing the world and only wants to follow you. So after you left the earth, he excused himself from illness and went outside the territory. Bai Qi continued, and those old ministers of our time no longer care about the affairs of the world. The Qin dynasty finally fell into the hands of stupid people and died for the second generation. This is the destiny of Great Qin and the inevitable direction of the development of the world. Therefore, none of us stepped forward to protect Great Qin. Bai Qi continued, my subordinates always believe that the most critical reason for the death of Qin too is that you have no heirs. Now, Your Majesty, you have descendants. If you conquer the world, they will be able to last for thousands of generations and be immortal forever. Forget it, I have no interest in the world, and I don't want to be feudal anymore. Su Yang smiled and shook his head, and was about to say something else, when Su Wuji and Su Xing appeared not far away together. Seeing this, Su Yang raised a playful smile on his lips. In fact, the reason why Su Wuji and Su Xing were able to get here without triggering the formation was entirely due to Su Yang's arrangement. He deliberately turned off the formation in order to lure the opponent deeper and prevent him from escaping. Now, as long as Su Yang makes a thought, 108 formations will be activated at the same time, trapping the Quasi-Emperor at his peak. Only. Su Yang had no choice but to end up with only one person. He didn't want Su Xing to accompany the Quasi-Emperor to enter the formation together, so he didn't start the killing formation for a long time. Dad, I miss you so much, hurry up and save me, Jiaozu, he wants to kill me, Wu. When Su Xing saw Su Yang, he ran towards Su Yang, but Su Wuji grabbed his clothes and picked him up with one hand. Ha ha, little guy, did I let you go? Where are you running? Suwaji deliberately pretended to be fierce and said in a cold voice, every one of the people here today will die, huh? Who are you? At this time, Su Yang's eyes fell on Suwaji, his face was as dark as water, and his heart was full of weariness. I am your ancestor, Suwaji responded coldly, his eyes full of disdain. Although he was telling the truth, Su Yang didn't know that he was Suwazi, so the words became a curse. Court death. Bai Qi next to him became furious when he heard that Suwaji was humiliating his majesty, and was about to take action, but was stopped by Su Yang. Bai Qi, follow my arrangements. Su Yang secretly sent a message to Bai Qi, and then met Suwaji's gaze. His face was clouded, and he said coldly, Your Excellency, you came here specifically to find me, and you don't even dare to reveal your origins. Don't you dare. Suwaji sneered, who do you think I dare not? It's ridiculous. I just don't want to, because in my eyes, you are all dead. However, since you asked, it doesn't matter if I tell you that I come from outside the territory and have conquered the world forever. Suwaji said provocatively, I found you here today on the orders of immortal Emperor Yanlong to kill you and then prevent the spiritual energy from reviving. Oh. Su Yang frowned and said in a deep voice, you are so loud, but do you have the strength? Haha, you are just at the peak of nascent soul, at the peak of divine transformation. Suwaji paused for a moment, and a flash of doubt flashed in his eyes. Didn't Wang Yangming say that Su Yang was at the peak of nascent soul? How did he become the peak of soul transformation? Is it possible that Su Yang broke through again after breaking up with Wang Yangming? This is unlikely. Didn't Wang Yangming say that he was cheated by Su Yang just this morning? Only a few hours have passed, and Su Yang has advanced to become a god, and has he climbed up one after another? Incredible. But no matter what, my great-grandson is indeed at the pinnacle of divine transformation, the monster among monsters, and the Su family has a successor. Thinking of this, Suwaji felt happy and very excited. Seeing his descendants so outstanding makes him even happier than he himself was when he was promoted. Just becoming a god. However, Suwaji did not show it, but sneered, I'm not even a tribulation, and I am already a quasi-emperor. I crush you, don't you just do it casually. Is it? Su Yang said disdainfully, in that case, why did you kidnap my son? Do you dare to let him go so that I can really fight with you? Su Yang, you don't have to provoke me. If you were just one person, why wouldn't I dare? Suwaji glanced at Bai Qi and sneered, now there is a tribulation strongman beside you, who is as strong as me. It is him I am afraid of, not you. If you tell him not to take action, I will let Suzing go. Do you dare? Suwaji asked back. Dare. 108 seats. Stand aside and don't move. There are formations everywhere here. You'd better be honest. But with 108 killing arrays connected in series, Suwazi was unable to do anything in a short period of time. Certainly. What? Seeing this, Su Yang immediately jumped into the air, caught Suzing, and landed firmly on the ground. Each of these killing formations could be broken easily by his peak quasi-emperor level. Su Yang. Killing formation. How dare you call me a piece of shit and go against the grain? As long as Suwaji understands the memory thoroughly, he will definitely become a formation master. Suwaji has only been in seclusion for 100 years, and he has not spent all his time studying formations. Therefore, in terms of formations, he can only be said to be a little better than a newcomer. Damn thing. Su Yang agreed immediately, fearing that Suwaji would regret it, so he hurriedly said, come on, let my son come over, and I will fight you one-on-one. Zink, how are you? That bitch didn't hurt you, right? Su Yang asked with concern while looking at his son. Okay. Bitch, aren't you very arrogant? Show me how arrogant you are again. Su Yang stood on the spot, controlling the formation and sneered. After Suwaji looked at it carefully, he frowned slightly and became serious. At this moment. However, having said that, the word dog thing is really harsh. Damn it, no, Su Yang must be taught a lesson. Damn thing. Suwaji could see that he was trapped by 108 killing formations, and these killing formations were connected in series. But then I thought about it, since I had hidden my identity. In Su Yang's eyes, I was an outsider, sent by immortal Emperor Yanlong, so it was reasonable for Su Yang to call him a bitch. Suwaji was furious and said coldly, "You are despicable. Didn't you mean one-on-one? Why did you use the formation?" When Suzing heard Su Yang's name for his great-great-grandfather, he immediately showed a gloating smile, but then he reacted and said hurriedly, "Dad, I'm fine, you guys hurry up and fight, I can't wait to see you get beaten, I want to see you beat him up." But who would have expected that before Suwaji had time to take action, he found that many formations were rising up around him, covering him. When Suwaji heard this, he immediately became angry. His great-grandson actually called him a bitch. What the hell, how rebellious. Suwaji was also worried that a real fight would affect his lovely and outstanding great-great-grandson, so he agreed and threw Suzing out with all his strength. But Suwaji is considered well-informed, because back then, immortal Emperor Xiantian once passed on a memory to him, which contained a lot of knowledge about cultivation, including formations. Although he has never been outside the territory, nor is he an old monster who has lived for endless years, he is only over 100 years old now. Su Yang nodded, and after comforting Suzing, he stared at Suwazi with cold eyes, and said in a deep voice, "Bitch, you are so brave, you dare to come to your door, in this case, don't blame me for being rude. Got it?" He also realized that if he tried his best, he could definitely break the formation, but it would take a lot of time, and he would be exhausted or even injured. But this requires a long period of accumulation. Su Yang has accumulated it for 3 lifetimes, and his attainments in formations are naturally terrifying. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 856. How can activating the formation be considered despicable? Su Yang smiled softly and said, "If I follow what you say, aren't those formation masters despicable people? I know the formation, but you don't. This is my ability. Now that I control these 108 killing formations, it is one of my methods." Su Yang said coldly, "How can I be considered despicable if I use my own methods?" You. Suwaji mobilized his spiritual energy and said angrily while resisting the attacks in the killing formation, "I'm just saying that with your strength alone, how dare you shout in front of me? It turns out that you rely on the formation, it's unfair to ask for one-on-one, but you use a formation. Isn't this fair?" Su Yang raised the corners of his mouth and said with a playful smile, "Bitch, you are too naive. The injustice is still to come. Bai Qi, it's your turn to take action." "Yes." After receiving Su Yang's order, Bai Qi flashed and appeared near Suwaji in an instant. He was waiting for the opportunity. As long as he caught Suwazi's flaw, he could take action at any time. Long before that, Su Yang had already shared the control of the 108 killing formations with Bai Qi. Therefore, Bai Qi can also walk freely in the 108 killing arrays without any influence. "Su Yang, what do you mean?" Suwaji suddenly showed a hint of fear when he saw Bai Qi staring at him eagerly. "It's very simple, can't you see?" Su Yang smiled softly and said, "This is my subordinate, he is waiting for the opportunity to trick you." "Fuck, Su Yang, are you so direct?" I can't help it. I don't have any other advantages. I just speak outright. Su Yang smiled playfully, bitch, no matter what happens today, you are going to die here. You don't keep your word. You agreed to be one-on-one, but you joined forces with someone else, Suwaji accused. So what? This is my territory. I can do whatever I want. My rules are the rules. Su Yang sneered and said, what's more, didn't you just call me despicable and unfair? Now I will be really despicable. Anyway, there is no need to be honest when facing people like you from outside the territory. You. Suwaji was so angry that he couldn't speak, and his neck was red with anger. He didn't expect that Su Yang didn't keep his word and actually used strong words. Damn, he was so angry. But if you think about it carefully, this is understandable. People from outside the territory come to the earth to cause mischief and want to invade the earth. Face them and show your integrity. As a great-grandson, I have done a very good job in this regard. I don't care about integrity, as long as I can win. Well done. After Suwaji got angry, he began to praise Su Yang in his heart. He was indeed his great-grandson. He was smart and had a brain, ha ha ha. Just when Suwaji was feeling complacent, Bai Chi, who had been looking for an opportunity, suddenly took action and killed him with a palm. Depend on. Suwaji felt the strong killing intent, then came to his senses, and quickly raised his hands to resist. But he still needed to fight against the killing array, and he had to devote some of his attention, so he naturally lost to Bai Chi. Boom! The palms of the two people collided, and after a brief contact, they flew out one after another. Fortunately for Bai Chi, he could ignore the killing formation and stabilized his figure in an instant. However, Suwaji had to beware of the killing formation, so he stumbled and couldn't find a foothold. At the same time, Su Yang, who was not far away, was making secrets with both hands and controlling the formation with a sneer on his face, speeding up the attack frequency of the formation. Take advantage of others' danger. Suwaji gritted his teeth. Seeing that he could no longer hold on, he said, Su Yang, you are going too far. In this case, don't blame me for being ruthless. Next, I will let you see my true strength. After the words fell, Suwaji was suspended in the air, his whole body shining brightly, exuding a terrifying aura. The most surprising thing is that his body has undergone huge changes. With the bridge of his nose as the dividing line, half of it is white and half of it is black. Of course, it wasn't the flesh and blood that changed color, but the aura around him that split into two colors. In this state, Suwazi's aura was more than twice as powerful, which was heart-stopping. Su Yang, within half an hour, I will break your formation. By then, you will be dead. Suwaji said in a cold tone. His black and white hair was motionless and there was an indescribable power about him, which was so terrifying. Seeing this, Su Yang frowned slightly and said, selfless kung fu. This person actually practiced selfless kung fu. Moreover, he did not split into a second body, using one physical body to practice the selfless divine art and the selfless demonic art at the same time. Su Yang was shocked and said, it's unbelievable that there are people who can become practitioners as one body. How much perseverance it takes. I am the only one in the world who knows how to practice this technique. I didn't practice it myself at the beginning. Su Yang suddenly thought of something, raised a smile on his lips, and thought to himself, according to what Su Mo said before, I seem to have taught this technique to my great-grandfather Suwazi. Besides, Grandpa is a fellow cultivator of one body, and he has successfully cultivated, so, the person in front of me, is Grandpa Suwazi. He came here with Suzing earlier and said he kidnapped Suzing, but Suzing didn't seem to be too panicked. Thinking of this, Su Yang looked at Suzing next to him without any trace, and found that Suzing was very excited at the moment, his eyes were full of expectation, and he seemed to be cheering for the people in the killing array. When Su Yang saw this, he immediately understood everything. The man trapped in the formation must be his great-grandfather Su Wuzi. Moreover, Su Xing also knew about this matter, but Su Xing pretended not to know. After Su Wuji came to the cave, he called for a fight with him. What did he mean? Could it be that he wanted to beat himself up? This is probably the case. After all, I am weak, and it would be meaningless for Grandpa to challenge me, as it would appear to be bullying. He was also embarrassed, so he deliberately pretended to be an outsider so that he could beat himself up so that there would be no psychological burden. But why did he beat himself up? Su Yang's eyes fell on Su Xing again, and he suddenly understood. Damn it! He always beats Su Xing and makes him lose his head. Could it be that he was the one who instigated Grandpa to do this? It's possible. Unfilial son. Unfilial son. Thinking of this, Su Yang stared at Su Xing with a smile on his face, and had already figured out how to slap his son in a more stylish way. Old Dad, why are you staring at me? Su Xing felt frightened by Su Yang's gaze and said hastily. Nothing, I just think you are very good and I can't help but want to look at you more, Su Yang said casually. That's natural, Dad. I'm not bragging to you. I'm very good, and even you is not as good as me. When Su Xing heard her father praising her, she suddenly became elated and proudly showed off in front of her father. Well, indeed, you are the best, and Dad will reward you well later, Su Yangpi said with a smile. Hey, thank you, Dad. It's costing Dad money again. I wonder what reward you want to give me. Su Xing was very happy and asked curiously. You will know when the time comes. After receiving my reward, you will definitely scream. Ha ha ha, that's great. I screamed with excitement. The reward must be a rare treasure, one of a kind. It's great. Dad is so kind to me. Su Xing was extremely excited. Yelling with excitement. This. Is there a possibility that you are screaming not because of excitement, but because of pain? Su Yang did not expose Su Xing and Grandpa now, but pretended not to know. People from outside the territory. At this time, Su Yang already knew that the person below was his great-grandfather Su Wuzi, so naturally he would not call him a dog anymore. Do you think these 108 killing arrays are just that? To be honest, I didn't use all the power of the formation just now. Now, I'll let you see it. After the words fell, Su Yang raised a playful smile, and began to knead the formula with his hands to control the formation. At the same time, Su Yang secretly sent a message to Bai Qi, when you attack later, just be gentle and teach him a lesson. Don't really cause problems for people. Why, Your Majesty? We must not be merciful when dealing with people from outside the territory. We must kill them all. Bai Qi sent a message to respond, in the opinion of my subordinates, it is best to kill him directly. Afterwards, his head will be hung outside the cave to frighten other people from outside the territory. His body is also of great use. The Quasi-Emperor's flesh and blood is a great source of nourishment and can be used to cultivate the genius of our planet. Su Yang was a little speechless, but he could see that Bai Qi was really murderous, so he said truthfully, no, he is my great-grandfather, Su Wuzi. Su Wuji. After Bai Qi learned Su Wuzi's identity, he paused for a moment, then was extremely shocked. I have heard of Su Wuzi's name, but he is only over 100 years old and is now at the peak of the Quasi-Emperor. This is too unbelievable. It has taken hundreds of years for me to reach my current state, and it was still during the immortal Qin period when everyone was like a dragon. Bai Qi sent a message, in modern times, the earth has entered the age of the Dharma and spiritual energy is scarce. Su Wuji, with a mortal body, actually reached the peak of Quasi-Emperor within 100 years. It's shocking. Your Majesty, Your Majesty did not know Suwazi's identity before and made rude and disrespectful remarks. Your Majesty, please punish me, Bai Chi said respectfully. This has nothing to do with you. It was my great-grandfather who deliberately hid his identity. I didn't know it at first. If he hadn't used the selfless technique, I would still be kept in the dark. Su Yang then sent a message, since he is looking for trouble, when you take action later, as long as it does not hurt the vital points, you can hit him casually until he reveals his identity. Yes. Bai Dian nodded and responded respectfully. Selfless technique. At this time, Suwaji shouted loudly, and then began to attack the formation. Su Yang also began to control the formation, launching intensive attacks from all directions to suppress Suwazi. Bai Chi, on the other hand, became the sixth one, waiting for an opportunity to make a sneak attack. With Su Yang's reminder, he knew Suwazi's identity, so he wouldn't be too harsh. But Su Yang also confessed that he wanted to show his grandfather some color, so Bai Chi was unambiguous when he launched the attack. That's it, about half an hour later. Su Yang smiled coldly, people from outside the territory, if you say you won't fight, you won't fight. What kind of place do you think this is? Suwaji said with a dark face, don't think I don't know, you have already guessed my identity. In this way, it would be easier to discipline Suzing and severely suppress Suzing's arrogance. Su Yang refused to admit it, but he refused to let him go. In fact, the meaning couldn't be more obvious. When Su Yang heard what Suwaji said, he confessed and smiled softly, it was only after I saw you using the selfless technique that I confirmed your identity. Suwaji felt that something was wrong, and said with a dark face, boy, what do you mean, do you want to extort even your great-grandfather's resources? And no fight, no fight. Grandpa is really smart. Although he didn't speak, his meaning was obvious, that he wanted resources. My great-grandfather is now at the pinnacle of quasi-emperor. He once dominated an era, so he won't be stingy in taking action, right? Su Yang met Suwaji's gaze and smiled, Great-grandpa, this is our first meeting. Do you have any gifts for your great-grandson? You kid, you are a thief, but I like it, ha ha ha, these are the descendants of my Su family. Oh. Finally, Suwaji was discouraged at this moment and complained, what's wrong, I'm trapped by the formation and can't touch you at all. There's an old man next to you who is eyeing you. Su Yang, please open the formation quickly and let me go get out, I won't fight you. Suwaji analyzed, you must have known my identity and asked him to be merciful, right? Hey, you are an unworthy descendant. You even cheated my great-grandfather. I'm so angry, Suwaji gritted his teeth and said. Suwaji looked at Su Yang with admiration, and then urged, stop being stunned and let me out. Grandpa, what are you talking about? How could I deceive you? Okay, Su Yang, what are you pretending to be? Although he was fine, he looked miserable and completely lost the arrogance he had when he first arrived. At this time, Su Yang wanted to tell Suzing by squeezing his great-grandfather, you and I have the final say in this family. There were a few times just now when the quasi-emperor next to you clearly had the chance to severely injure me, but he didn't do it ruthlessly. He just scratched my flesh. There were several wounds on Suwaji's body, his clothes were torn and blood was flowing out. Then you should let me out. Don't dare. Su Yang smiled softly. Su Yang was even more relaxed, just controlling the formation and not consuming too much spiritual energy. Suwazi, who was originally full of energy and arrogance, has shriveled up, his breathing is a little short, and there are beads of sweat on his forehead. Not in a hurry. He didn't really want to knock Grandpa, he just wanted to show it to Suzeng. As for Bai Chi, his own strength is not much different from Suwaji's, and he doesn't need to fight formations, he only makes sneak attacks occasionally, so he is relaxed and contented. Suzink is difficult to discipline at such a young age, so he must be treated well. As for the materials obtained through extortion, the worst case scenario is that they will be compensated to grandpa afterwards. Su Yang remained silent or responded, just looking at Su Wuzi with a smile. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 857. At this moment, Su Wuji's face turned dark with anger. He had been blackmailing famous mountains and 10 major families for half his life. When he was young, he never expected that today, he would be blackmailed by his great-grandson. All things undergo reincarnation, who will God spare? Su Wuji couldn't help but sigh, glanced at Su Yang resentfully, and finally chose to compromise. Su Yang, you can do it? You even blackmailed my great-grandfather. I really belong to you. Su Wuji looked at Su Yang, and then said, tell me what you want. I will admit defeat today. Grandpa, don't say that. When did I blackmail you? I'm just asking you for a gift as a great-grandson. Su Yang smiled softly and said, you have never seen me since I was born. Why don't you give me a gift when we meet you for the first time? Su Wuji's face darkened even more when he heard this. You Su Yang, you just blackmail, and you say it so grandly, it's so shameless. Dad. Suzing, who was next to him, heard this and wanted to say something to his grandfather, so he whispered, when you first met me, you didn't give me a greeting gift. Why do you ask my great-great-grandfather to give you a greeting gift? Ha ha ha, he is indeed my great-great-grandson. He knows how to protect his great-great-grandfather. Well, very good. Su Yang, listen, what my great-great-grandson said makes so much sense, but you haven't even done it yourself, so why should you ask me? As Su Wuji was talking, he saw Su Yang raise his hand and give Suzing a blow. Hiss. Suzing burst into tears from the pain, and quickly begged for mercy. I love you, Dad, please be gentle, I was wrong, I won't speak anymore. Boom. Su Yang had no chance and gave Suzing a brain-destroying blow again. Great-grandfather, please help me. Look at my dad. He actually beat me in front of you. Is there any law of heaven or king's law? Suzing stopped pretending and gritted his teeth and said, didn't you just say that you brought me here to beat my dad? Beat him quickly, beat him hard, and don't let him go. Zing, don't talk nonsense. Su Wuji's face changed slightly and he reminded hastily. Pig teammates. Can't you see the current situation clearly? Your great-great-grandfather and I have been trapped in the formation. Whether we can come out depends on your father's word. Now if you tell us the purpose of our visit, wouldn't it cost your great-great-grandfather his life? Don't you have any brains? Great-great-grandfather, you are so powerful. What are you afraid of what my father will do? Besides, you are an elder. If you beat him, will he dare to fight back? Suzing continued, when you take action, I will be there to cheer you on and punish him severely. Suzing. Hearing this, Su Yang raised a playful smile, grabbed Suzing's left ear, and then said, you are really restless. I guessed it before. Grandpa concealed his identity and challenged me when he came to the cave. It probably has something to do with you. Now it seems that he was actually instigated by you. Su Yang's hand gradually became stronger and he said sternly, you are so young, but you still hate your father, and you want to borrow the help of your elders to deal with your father. This is simply too much. Dad, I'm wronged. I came here to beat you. It wasn't me who instigated it. It was my great-great-grandfather himself. Suzing was about to explain, but was interrupted by Su Wuji who was in the formation. Su Yang, you guessed it right. It was indeed Zing who was instigating me. I was also confused for a moment and came over as soon as my brain got hot. Su Wuji's eyes fell on Suzing, and he said in an educational tone, Zing, I told you, Your father beats you because he loves you. I have never heard that beating means kissing or scolding. He beats you for your own good, to make you better. From now on, you will be a well-behaved and polite person. You will definitely grow into a pillar of talent and benefit the people in the future. Suwazi said seriously, how could you encourage me to come over and beat him up? In this regard, you are going too far. Hey, I'm confused too. When I saw my great-great-grandson was so cute and smart, he sadly told me that he was beaten by you. I felt sorry for him, so. Suwaji sighed, showing an expression of helplessness and self-blame. His acting skills were truly top-notch. Great-great-grandfather. Suzing stood nearby, quietly watching his great-great-grandfather's performance, his mouth wide open and disbelief written all over his face. Rebellion. Great-great-grandfather has rebelled now? Aren't you Suwazi? Didn't you dominate an era? Aren't you a quasi-emperor now? What's the situation? I gave in so quickly. Where did it put me? I feel so uncomfortable. I never expected that you would be such a great-great-grandfather. I am so disappointed. Suzing had a dark face and looked at Suwazi very unhappily. Suwaji felt a little guilty and pretended not to look at Suzing. He just looked at Su Yang and said, Su Yang, let this matter pass. My great-grandson, quickly open the formation and let the great-grandfather out. Not in a hurry. Su Yang smiled softly, then looked at Suzing, and said calmly, it is the fault of a son not to teach his father. Suzing, I want you to remember what happened today. The formation below is very interesting. Go down and experience it with your great-great-grandfather. Su Yang smiled playfully and said, your great-great-grandfather is very relaxed now and can deal with the formations easily. He will definitely be able to devote his energy to protecting you. Don't want. Suzing finally understood that although his great-great-grandfather was very strong, his father was the most powerful now and his words were effective, so he still had to please his father. So, Suzing hurriedly begged for mercy, Dad, the formation below is too terrifying, don't push me down. I have a lot of cultivation materials, and I want to redeem myself. I do not need. Su Yang shook his head and said, you are just a little kid. If you have any cultivation materials, even if you have them, I won't care. Su Yang was talking, but at this moment, Suzing suddenly took out an old medicine full of spiritual energy from the storage ring, exuding a dense aura and dazzling brilliance. This. Su Yang was extremely shocked and murmured to himself, is this an old medicine that is 50,000 years old? He has been reborn for a long time, and he has seen old medicines that are 7 or 8,000 years old at most on the earth, but those that are tens of thousands of years old are very rare. But now, Suzing actually has a 50,000-year-old medicine in his hand, which is so shocking. You know, the efficacy of a 50,000-year-old medicine is not multiplied by 5 compared to a 10,000-year-old medicine. 100,000-year-old medicine is not as good as 150,000-year-old medicine, because the gap between them is qualitative and quantity cannot make up for it. It stands to reason that since the earth has existed for endless years, there should be old medicines of higher ages, but Su Yang has only seen old medicines that are 7 or 8,000 years old. Now, the old medicine in Suzing's hand made Su Yang's eyes light up. Yes, Dad, as long as you are willing to forgive and promise that from now on we will be a loving father and a filial son, and you will not hit me, I will not cause trouble, and we will treat each other as guests and love each other, I will give you this 50,000-year-old medicine. Suzing made his request. Are you still making conditions for me? Su Yang was unhappy, strode over, and snatched the 50,000-year-old medicine from Suzing's hand. Bring it here, I am your father, your things are mine, and my things are still mine. My stuff. What the hell? Suzing felt like he was being screwed. His face was dark, but he was also very helpless. However, he was fantasizing in his heart that one day, when he becomes invincible in the world and his strength exceeds that of his father, he will definitely get back to where he was today. When the time comes, he will also steal his father's storage ring, rob his father, and become the most violent gangster in the universe. At that time, I must rob my father completely and take off all his clothes in order to avenge today. Thinking of this, Suzing felt a little better and couldn't help but raise a playful smile. Boom! At this time, Su Yang raised his hand and his brain collapsed, bringing Suzing back to reality. Hiss, it hurts, Dad, I gave you such good old medicine, why are you still beating me? Suzing covered his head and said in pain. You smiled so sinisterly just now. You must have bad intentions. I suspect you are trying to cause trouble again, Su Yang said lightly. Doubt, do you want to beat me just because you have doubts? There is no other reason, Suzing was surprised and aggrieved. Do you still need a reason to beat your son? Su Yang asked, raising his arm and bending his fingers, preparing for the early stage of hitting his head. No, no need. Suzing suddenly woke up and said with a sneer, Hey, Dad, I am your son, you can beat me if you want, it is natural and natural, it doesn't matter, as long as you are happy. That's pretty much it? Su Yang nodded with satisfaction, and then gave Suzing a decisive blow. Fuck. Suzing jumped up immediately and said through gritted teeth, I've already obeyed what you said, why are you still hitting me? Didn't you say that I can fight whenever I want, and that it's natural and right? Su Yang said lightly. Suzing was about to cry, but finally chose not to speak and stood aside obediently. Grandpa. Su Yang was very satisfied, then turned his eyes to Suwuji and smiled softly, Grandpa, isn't it time to bring out your greeting gift? You kid, if I don't take it, do you still want to hit me? Suwuji said with a dark face. That's definitely not the case. You are my father's grandfather and an ancestor-level figure. How could I hit you? Su Yang smiled and said, it's just that my memory is not very good. I may not remember how to activate the killing array. Grandpa, you are in the Quasi-Emperor realm and are very powerful. Anyway, these 108 killing arrays can be used in a short time. Nothing can hurt you. You just persist in the formation. I will think about it slowly. When I think of it, I will immediately activate the formation and let you out, Su Yang said seriously. Day. Suwuji suddenly ran out of tricks, so he reluctantly took out a 50,000-year-old medicine from the storage ring and said, I also have a 50,000-year-old medicine here. Now you remembered how to open the formation. I thought of it, Grandpa, just wait. Su Yang's eyes suddenly lit up when he saw another 50,000-year-old medicine. His hands changed and he needed the formula. After a few seconds, the formation was successfully opened. Wow! Then, with a flash of light, Suwuji came out of the killing array, with a few scratches on his clothes and a slight embarrassment. Although the formation did not pose much of a threat to him in a short period of time, it was not easy to fight against the formation. Positive. At this moment, Suwuji stared at Su Yang with sharp eyes, pressing forward step by step, and said in a deep voice, You kid, it's okay, how dare you threaten Grandpa? Grandpa, what do you mean? You haven't given me the 50,000-year-old medicine yet, and now you are looking at me like this. Why, are you going to regret it? Su Yang suddenly felt that something was wrong, and wanted to mobilize the formation to trap Suwuji again. But with a thought in his mind, Suwuji stepped forward and stood half a step away from Puang. Buzz. The next moment, there was a terrifying force that determined Su Yang. Even if Su Yang stepped into the realm of becoming gods, he was still incompetent. He couldn't even mobilize his spiritual energy. He couldn't move either. He could only watch Suwu. Ji stood next to him. I also know some formations. Although I'm not as good as you, I can still handle one or two outside the formations. Suwaji stared at Su Yang and sneered, you want to use the formation to hurt me twice, it's absolutely impossible. His Majesty. When Bai Qi next to him saw this scene, a wry smile appeared on his lips. He wanted to help, but felt it was inappropriate and finally chose to give up. After all, this is His Majesty's family matter, and the other party is His Majesty's great-grandfather, so he will definitely not harm your Majesty. What if I intervene rashly? By then the family will be reconciled, talking and laughing. How embarrassing is it for me, an outsider? So, instead of helping, he quietly took a few steps back. Grandpa, I was joking with you before, don't mind. Su Yang showed a wry smile and hurriedly said something nice, how could I really want your old medicine? I'm just joking with you. Snort. It's too late to say this now. Suwaji said with a sullen face and a cold tone, looking really angry. Well done, great-grandfather, beat him hard, and help me get my old medicine back. When Suzing saw this scene, he was immediately overjoyed and said excitedly, hit him until his brain breaks, hit him a few more times, ha ha ha. Oh. Suwaji glanced at Suzing, then showed a playful smile, then raised his hand and his eyes fell on Su Yang. Su Yang smiled bitterly, it seemed that he would not be able to escape a severe beating today. Never mind. Just fight. You have to suffer the beating from your great-grandfather, it's not a dishonorable thing. But at this moment, Su Yang suddenly found that he could move and mobilize his spiritual energy. Because, Suwaji put away his pressure and looked at Su Yang with admiration. Ha ha ha, Su Yang, not bad, you are a very good boy, you have the same style as I did back then. No, you are much better than I was back then. You are in the state of becoming a god. You are so young. Ha ha, there is smoke coming out of the ancestral grave of my Su family. Suwaji patted Su Yang's shoulder with appreciation, laughed heartily and said, don't be afraid, I was just teasing you, how could I bear to beat you up? You are such a monster. If one day you step into the true imperial realm before me, I will tear up the family tree and rewrite it starting from you. You should keep this 50,000-year-old medicine. It will be of great use to you. It can be regarded as a meeting gift from me. Suwaji laughed heartily, and then gave Su Yang the 50,000-year-old medicine in his hand. Suzing next to him was dumbfounded when he saw this, with a look of panic on his face. What's the meaning? What about me? If you reconcile, where will you put me? Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 858. Seeing her father and great-great-grandfather talking and laughing, Suzing couldn't accept it for a while. You don't play like this. Isn't this a trick for children? At this moment, Suzing felt that his father's eyes were locked on him, and he shivered involuntarily with fear. Hey. Suzing laughed twice, then stepped forward and said with a smile, Dad, I was teasing you just now. In fact, when my great-great-grandfather wanted to beat you, I felt really sad. I wished he would beat you. The person is me. But if I think about it carefully, I know it's impossible for my great-great-grandfather to beat you. I've long seen that he was playing tricks on you, so I cooperated with his acting to increase the authenticity. Suzing had an idea and smiled as if he was taking credit. How about it, Dad, are my acting skills good? Do you take it seriously? Hey, Dad, you don't understand me too well. I have always respected my elders, especially you, Dad. I will definitely not take pleasure in your misfortune when my great-great-grandfather wants to beat you. Suzing pretended to be aggrieved and said, I'm so sad. If you were willing to take the time to get to know me better, You wouldn't misunderstand me. Hee hee. Hee hee. In response to Su Zing's explanation, Su Yang just sneered twice, then strode forward and dealt a physical blow to Su Zing. It hurts, Dad, be gentle, I'm still a child, don't beat me silly. Great-grandfather, help me, look at my dad, he is so cruel. Great-grandfather, didn't you say that if he dared to beat me, you would beat him? Why are you so indifferent? Su Zing wailed in pain, but unfortunately, Su Wuji was standing nearby with no intention of coming forward. After what happened just now, he finally understood the nature of his great-great-grandson. What a good baby, what a pitiful little guy, this guy is so treacherous and restless, he needs to be educated properly. A few minutes later, Su Yang stopped massaging Su Zing and took him directly into the Void Tower without giving Su Zing a chance to speak. Go in and reflect and reflect. Su Yang said seriously, but actually he was worried about Su Zing's safety. Because the spiritual energy recovery is about to begin, the place will be in chaos after all, and people hiding in the dark will take action. Su Zing's realm was low and it was not suitable for him to appear in public, otherwise it would only cause more trouble. Su Yang. After solving Su Zing's matter, Su Wuji looked at Su Yang and asked seriously, are you prepared for the revival of spiritual energy? No. Su Yang shook his head and said truthfully, I don't know much about the recovery of spiritual energy. Wang Yangming told me this. I don't know if it is trustworthy. Believable. Su Wuji said seriously, Wang Yangming, although he may seem out of place at ordinary times, he will never fool around when it comes to serious matters. Did he tell you what the probability of spiritual energy recovery is this time? Su Wuji asked. I didn't say it clearly, I just said it's not a big problem, Su Yang said truthfully. Then don't worry too much. Su Wuji nodded and said, he won't talk too much. If the problem is not big, it shows that he has seen the future. Grandpa, who is this Wang Yangming? Su Yang suddenly asked. I am not sure as well. Su Wuji shook his head and said, he is very mysterious. In front of my master, Immortal Emperor Xiantian, he maintained a high profile without any awe. My master didn't get angry because of this. Instead, I discussed everything with him. Su Wuji continued, more than 100 years ago, I pretended that I had not broken through the nascent soul, but failed. It was the decision made by him and my master together. Before he was reincarnated, my master once told me that no one in this world can be trusted except Wang Yangming. If there is such a thing, then there is no need to be wary of him. Su Yang felt relieved after hearing what Grandpa Tai said. Actually, despite his previous heart-to-heart relationship with Wang Yangming, he was actually wary of Wang Yangming. This person is so mysterious, he is involved in many things, and he is the mastermind behind everything. It would be terrible for someone who has such control over the overall situation to be his opponent. Therefore, Su Yang kept a bottom line in his heart and did not have a heart-to-heart relationship with Wang Yangming. But after listening to his grandfather's words, Su Yang was completely relieved. In his previous life, Immortal Emperor Xiantian was able to appraise people, so he would definitely not be wrong. Wait, what did Grandpa call Immortal Emperor Xiantian just now? Su Yang suddenly caught the key word, master. Immortal Emperor Xiantian, is Grandpa's master? Speaking of my master, Su Yang, at a quick glance, you look somewhat similar to my master. At this moment, Su Wuji's eyes fell on Su Yang, looked at him carefully, and then said with a smile, look carefully, it looks more like him. He is almost carved from the same mold. It's just that my master, Immortal Emperor Xiantian, has a beard. When I met him, he looked to be in his 40s or 50s, late middle-aged, with slight traces of age on his face. Su Wuji continued, and you don't have a beard, and you are much younger and very immature. No wonder I didn't notice it at first glance. But after looking at it twice more, I feel that your appearance is a bit familiar, ha ha ha. Suwaji smiled and said, if my master sees you, he will definitely be very surprised. Suwaji. At this time, Bai Chi next to him smiled softly and said, you are right, my majesty does have the same appearance as immortal Emperor Xiantian. Not only that, in fact, my majesty is your master, immortal Emperor Xiantian. Bai Qi continued, you also know that immortal Emperor Xiantian has been reincarnated. Didn't Wang Yangming tell you that immortal Emperor Xiantian has been reincarnated as your descendant? What? Suwaji was stunned when he heard this, and the smile on his face froze, slightly uncomfortable. Master, actually became my descendant. Good. Bai Qi said seriously, so, Suwazi, you should have a better attitude towards my majesty. Don't really treat him as a descendant. He is both your great-grandson and your master. You can call him master, and he can call you grandpa, regardless of the relationship. At the end, Bai Qi couldn't help but complain, what am I talking about? Your relationship is really complicated, which makes me a little confused. That makes sense. Unexpectedly, when Suwaji heard this, he looked at Su Yang again and agreed very much, Su Yang, no, master, just follow what he said. From now on, I will call you master and you will call me great-grandpa. It is reasonable and reasonable. Grandpa. Su Yang touched the bridge of his nose and said with a wry smile, aren't you trying to offend me? You don't need to call me master, that was all in the past life. No. Suwaji shook his head and said righteously, Xiantian immortal emperor led me on the path of cultivation, taught me the supreme skills, and solved my doubts. He will always be my master, even if he is reincarnated 10,000 times. This time, I also want to call you master. It's just that I didn't expect that master would reincarnate into the Su family and become my descendant. Suwaji continued, but this does not affect it, master, just do as I say. What's more, a master is a teacher, and the title master does not mean anything. This. Su Yang nodded helplessly and said, okay then. Master, there are still a few hours until the spiritual energy is revived, and we are here. As Suwaji was talking, his expression suddenly changed, and he whispered, someone is coming, and it's very strong. I only noticed a faint breath. Your Majesty, it is indeed so. Bai Qi next to him did the same, and said solemnly, this person has hidden his aura very well, moves very fast, and is very, very strong. Su Yang squinted his eyes slightly and frowned, Grandpa, Bai Qi, is the strength of the person coming here as strong as yours? Hard to say. Suwaji said sternly, the power of the other party cannot be underestimated, I felt it, she turned out to be a child. For a little girl of about 5 years old, this is unbelievable, so unbelievable. Suwaji said in disbelief, how can a little girl of just a few years old have the power of a quasi-emperor? It's not just a quasi-emperor. Bai Qi added, I feel that her aura should be above that of a quasi-emperor, and even has a hint of a true emperor. Little girl. When I went to play and heard the words, I was extremely shocked. I couldn't help but guess, she must be an old monster-level figure. I just don't know whether she is a powerful person hidden in the earth or an outsider. Here she comes, she has entered the cave. Suwaji reminded, she hides her aura and even her figure, but I'm sure she is approaching us. Bai Qi naturally noticed it and hurriedly stood in front of Su Yang. At the same time, he was ready to take action at any time. The same goes for Suwazi, staring ahead with all his concentration, fearing a sneak attack from the other party. Grandpa, Bai Qi, don't panic. I'll activate the 108 killing arrays first to test her out. Seeing this, Su Yang directly made the secret with both hands. Buzz. The next moment, 108 formations were activated at the same time, and the scene was brightly lit. With the help of formations, Su Yang's strength can reach a level comparable to that of a quasi-emperor. In addition, the little girl is already in the formation, so Su Yang can naturally see her. Long. It's actually Yo-Yo. After seeing the opponent's appearance clearly, Su Yang immediately exclaimed, and then he wanted to close the formation, for fear that the formation would hurt Su Yo-Yo. However, Su Yang was obviously overly worried. Before he could close it, Yo-Yo had already walked out of the formation. Right. Just walked out. At this moment, Su Yo-Yo was wearing deep sea blue and could completely ignore the attack of the formation. In fact, Su Yo-Yo's 108 killing formations using the blue of the deep sea were useless. She walked over step by step, and soon saw Su Yang, with strong joy in her eyes, and she was about to throw herself into Su Yang's arms. Stop. Seeing this, Bai Qi immediately threatened in a cold voice, if you take one more step forward, you will die. Actually, when Bai Qi said this, he felt guilty. I am in 108 killing formations, complaining endlessly, but the other party can pass through without restraint. This is enough to show that the opponent's strength is unfathomable and terrifying, far beyond what he can contend with. But in order to protect His Majesty's along, Bai Qi could only accept death and express his attitude. Who are you and what is the purpose of coming here? Su Wuji stared at Su Yo-Yo coldly and asked. Su Yo-Yo was about to explain when Su Yang secretly sent a message to her daughter. Yo-Yo, what happened? How did you become so powerful? Su Yang asked with concern and anxiety. Dad, I just met a stupid person who accidentally got this fairy dress with wide sleeves. Su Yo-Yo also transmitted the message and said truthfully, there is a soul in this skirt. She told me that her name is Xiao Lan. As long as I wear it, I can have powerful power. Even a strong person at the level of the immortal emperor can't hurt me. Moreover, I can deal damage at the peak of quasi-emperor. Dad, I am very powerful now. Su Yo's tone was full of pride. Deep sea blue. After Su Yang heard these words, he carefully looked at the clothes Su Yo was wearing, and felt that there was an inexplicable sense of familiarity and she was very friendly. Dad, who are these two guys? Have you been kidnapped by them? Do you need me to teach them a lesson for you? Su Yo asked via voice message. No, how could I be kidnapped? They are. Su Yang paused, then showed a playful smile, and said secretly, Yo, let's do this, you fight them, and I'll see how powerful you are now. Okay. Su Yo nodded happily. She was looking forward to showing off in front of her father, but now she almost did it. Your Excellency, who are you? Don't you dare to give your name. At this time, Su Wuji stood ready and asked again. Su Yo didn't want to talk nonsense, so she directly chose to take action and flew towards Su Wuzi. This move was simple and crude without any bells and whistles. He slapped Su Wuzi with one palm. Snort. You didn't say a word and you looked down on me so much. Do you really think that I, Su Wuzi, am easy to bully? Immortal art. Selfless demonic skill. Fusion. Su Wuji didn't hesitate. Activate your strongest state immediately. First, he used the selfless divine art, and his whole body shone with white light, showing overwhelming power. Afterwards, Su Wuji reversed his tendons and performed the selfless demonic art, and the other half of his body was covered in darkness. Immediately after the black and white merged, Su Wuzi's body slowly rose into the air, his eyes sharp, like a demon god, with overwhelming power. Boom! The next moment, Su Wuji's palm collided with Su Yo's, and both of them took a few steps back. Your Excellency, your strength is indeed not weak. You should be at the peak of quasi-emperor. But, Su Wuji said coldly, in my eyes, this is not enough. You will be defeated within 100 rounds. As soon as he finished speaking, Suwuji rushed directly towards Suyuyu. Suyuyu took the initiative to greet her without any hesitation. Just like that, the two fought, and the scene was very huge. There must be a formation in the cave, otherwise it would have collapsed long ago. It is worth mentioning that Bai Qi next to him showed a relaxed smile after carefully looking at Suyuyu's wide-sleeved fairy skirt, and stood aside without making any further moves. Bai Qi, why don't you go and help Grandpa? Seeing this, Su Yang asked. Your Majesty, you are not in a hurry. Why should I be in a hurry? Bai Qi smiled softly and said, what's more, I know Deep Sea Blue, and those who are qualified to control Deep Sea Blue must be related to you by blood. Or maybe I got your inheritance. No matter what, you will be my helper. Bai Qi added, Your Majesty, you must have communicated with the little girl just now, so you are not nervous at the moment. Good. Su Yang had no intention of hiding it, so he nodded and said, You know Deep Sea Blue, tell me its origins. Yes. Bai Qi responded respectfully, then fell into memories and said, When it comes to the blue of the deep sea, we have to mention Miss Shengxiu. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 859. A familiar girl? Su Yang frowned slightly when he heard the name. Although he had no impression of it in his mind, he always felt it was very familiar. So, Su Yang looked at Bai Qi and motioned for Bai Qi to continue. As we all know, during the immortal Qin period, the most powerful person was you, the first emperor Zilong, who swept across the world, unified the world, and ended the era of war. Bai Qi continued, but anyone who has truly stepped into the ranks of the top experts knows that above you, there is another person on earth whose strength and talent are so powerful that no one can compare with her. That person is Miss Shenxian, the daughter of Xianyuan, Xianyuan Shenxian. Bai Qi met Su Yang's gaze and continued, Xianyuan Shengxiu is a well-deserved proud daughter of heaven and the darling of heaven and earth. She is obsessed with martial arts and has been pursuing the ultimate and peak all her life. You and Xianyuan know each other very well. We have known each other since they were very young. We are childhood sweethearts. We are in love with each other and have a crush on you. You once said that when you bring peace to the world and all the lights are on, you will marry Xianyuan Shengxun. Xianyuan Shengxun also promised you. This is an agreement between you, which will remain unchanged until death. For this reason, you devoted your efforts and spent countless days and nights to make the blue of the deep sea, intending to give it to Xianyuan Shenxian as an engagement gift. Finally one day, you have unified the world, and all the people have surrendered. Everything you can see is your territory and your people. You are very happy. You can finally marry Xianyuan God, but who knows? At this point, Bai Qi sighed and hesitated, not knowing how to speak. Keep talking, Su Yang urged in a calm tone. Yes. Bai Qi hurriedly agreed, and then said, when you completed your goal and realized your ambition, Xianyuan divine wisdom was sent to the earth. She left a mark on your soul, and you didn't even see her for the last time. Bai Qi continued, I watched the soul mark with you, and I still remember the general content. Xianyuan Shengshui said that she has broken the void and gone to the outside world. If you just want to find a partner and live happily, don't wait for her anymore. There are many good girls in the world. With your identity, you can take your pick. Bai Qi changed his tone, and then said with a solemn face, but if you are not willing to be ordinary, and want to plead for the people and create an eternal peaceful age, don't worry about your children settling the accounts. She made it clear that you have more important things to do. Xianyuan Shen knew himself and was working hard on this matter, so he left the earth. Bai Qi smiled bitterly and said, I think Xianyu and Shenshu must have also noticed the big hand behind it. He knew that the earth might be destroyed at any time, so he went to look for opportunities outside the territory. After Zilong saw the soul mark left by Xianyu and Shenxian, he was sad for several years, and finally decided to break the void, and like Xianyu and Shenxian, go outside the territory to find a way to save the earth. Bai Qi continued, after all, if two people work together, the possibility of success will be greater. Your Majesty, I believe you all know what happened next, but since then, I have never heard any news about Xianyu and God, and I don't know whether he is alive or dead now. At the end of the sentence, Bai Qi sighed and said, I was very angry when Xianyu and Shenzhen left you, and I even cursed her as a witch. But now, my subordinates have understood the painstaking efforts of Miss Shenxian. She is also for the earth. I admire her for her grand scheme. A look of respect appeared on Bai Qi's face. Xianyu and God knows. Su Yang still couldn't remember this person's voice, appearance, and smile, but the familiarity was real. After pausing for a few seconds, Su Yang couldn't help but said, I lost all the memories of the first life and part of the memories of the second life. Bai Qi, do you know of any way to restore my memory? Su Yang asked. Your Majesty, I know nothing about this. Bai Qi smiled bitterly, and then suggested, however, Wang Yangming may have a way. This person is indeed mysterious. In the immortal Qin period, there was no such person. No, it should be said that there was no strong man named Wang Yangming, but I always have a feeling that he is most likely a figure from the immortal Qin period, but his name is anonymous. Bai Qi continued, perhaps, during the immortal Qin period, he was not called Wang Yangming, but was called another name, a familiar name. It's just that I can't tell who it is for a while. Since he survived the immortal Qin and lived to this day, and is the number one Taoist in the world, there must be a way to restore your memory, Bai Qi said with certainty. Su Yang nodded and said, he will definitely come when the spiritual energy is revived. Ask him then. By the way, how is this deep sea blue's defense? Can it really block attacks from the imperial realm? Can. Bai Qi said seriously, after your Majesty successfully made it, he tried it himself. Even he himself found it difficult to break through the defense of deep sea blue. The ancestral dragon at that time was already at the peak of the emperor realm, and at this stage, he had no opponents. Bai Qi continued, if it were replaced by an ordinary emperor realm, even at the peak of the imperial realm, I'm afraid it wouldn't be able to do any damage to deep sea blue. Furthermore, deep sea blue's strongest strength is defense, but it does not lack offensive capabilities. Even ordinary people, as long as they are recognized by deep sea blue, are still comparable to the pinnacle of quasi-emperors. Bai Qi said seriously, if we add defensive capabilities, and we really fight, the quasi-emperor at the peak level will definitely lose. Su Yang nodded gently, with a smile on his lips. It seems that Grandpa is going to be depressed again. With that said, Su Yang looked forward. At this moment, Su Yuyu and Su Wuji were fighting, and the scene was so huge that even though there were 108 killing arrays in the cave, they still couldn't handle the aftermath of the fight between the two. When Su Yang saw this, with a thought, he changed the scene in the cave, and the surrounding area turned into a barren desert. This is a special formation arranged by the first emperor ancestral dragon, and it is also the real place where spiritual energy is revived. Although this place is in a cave, it does not belong to the cave. To put it simply, it is considered a dimensional space. Therefore, Su Yuyu and Su Wuji can fight to their heart's content here. After doing all this, Su Yang looked at the battle between the two, with a smile on his lips. Su Yuyu was wearing the deep sea blue and was really too strong. Even if Su Wuji activated his strongest state, he was still beaten and defeated. You pissed me off completely. Good. Your Excellency, today, I will let you know what it means that there are people outside the world, and there is a sky outside the world. Suwuji was furious. Black and white lights crisscrossed his body. In an instant, he condensed into a huge ball, which was then pushed out suddenly. When Suyuyo saw this scene, her first reaction was panic, and she couldn't help but take 2 steps back. "Little master, don't be afraid. Xylan can eat this attack. Not only will it not hurt you, Xylan will also be replenished at this time." Xylan's voice sounded in his mind. Suyuyo suddenly felt confident, glanced at Suwuji provocatively, and sneered, "The strongest blow? It's just a little trick." The words fell. Suyuyo didn't hesitate at all and took the initiative to meet Suwuji's attack. Boom! Along with a muffled sound, Suyuyo's small body was directly submerged by the ball. Then, a terrifying battle aftermath spread out in ripples to all directions, rolling up dust and sand all over the sky. Done. Seeing that he had hit the target with one blow, Suwuji was sure that his opponent would definitely die, so he clapped his hands, showed a proud smile, and said disdainfully, "You still call me trivial, haha, who doesn't say big words? Didn't you die in my hands and be beaten to powder by me? Su-Yang, you have seen it? Grandpa is not very powerful. Let me tell you, I only used a small amount of my strength. If my true strength is exposed, even I will be scared," Suwuji said extremely seriously. "It's awesome hearing this," Su-Yang smiled and cooperated with his great-grandfather. "Haha, it's just a small thing." Suwuji was very proud. As he walked towards Su-Yang, he boasted, "Your great-grandfather and I have met too many opponents and experienced many battles throughout our lives. We are so rich in experience. Normally, I would not pay attention to this kind of battle in the eyes. Su-Yang, since you are my great-grandson, I will share my experience with you as a person who has been through this." Suwuji was like an old professor teaching at the beginning of the class, and said earnestly, "Actually, the most taboo thing before a fight is talking, which is bragging. You heard it just now, right? That person kept saying that I was a little bit of an incompetent person and was full of disdain for me. But what's the result? Suwuji said proudly, "I beat her to a pulp without any bones." From this, it can be seen that there is no use in bragging. If we fight, we will fight. There is no need to brag. Grandpa. Su-Yang touched the bridge of his nose and said with a wry smile, "But why did I hear that it was you who was talking nonsense just now?" "I." Suwuji was immediately embarrassed, but he still said shamelessly, "How could I? What do you know? I was trying to intimidate my opponent. I want my opponents to know that I am very strong, so they will be sincerely afraid of me. If you want to defeat someone, you must first start with her heart. Your great-grandfather and I defeated her from the bottom of our hearts, so we succeeded." Suwuji curled his lips and said, "There is a lot of knowledge here, you learn slowly." "Okay, Grandpa." Su-Yang nodded cooperatively. "Well, Su-Yang, no, I should call you Master." Suwuji nodded with satisfaction, and then said, "Master, were you scared by that person again just now?" "No." Su-Yang shook his head truthfully. "How is that possible?" "She is." "Grandpa, please stop talking now and look back. There will be a surprise." Suwuji wanted to say something else, but Su-Yang interrupted with a smile. "Surprise? What kind of surprise can there be, fuck?" As Suwuji spoke, he slowly turned around, only to see Suyuyo standing behind him unscathed. He was instantly shocked. His whole body jumped up and flew back 7 or 8 meters. He said tremblingly, "No. Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. My strongest blow hit you perfectly. Even if you are a true emperor, I am afraid you will be damaged. Why are you unscathed? This is impossible." Suwuji asked with a trembling voice, "You, who are you?" Suyuyu didn't respond, but kept an expressionless face as she approached Suwazi step by step. "Your Excellency, who are you? Are you from outside the territory? Even if you want to kill me, you must let me die in peace," Suwaji continued to ask, obviously afraid of Suyuyu. He knew very well that his strongest attacks could not hurt the opponent at all, which meant that his strength must far exceed his own. Even if you try your best and use all your strength, you may not be able to escape your bad luck. Therefore, Suwaji wanted to delay time and find an opportunity to escape with Su Yang. But Suyuyu still didn't reply to him, but approached Suwaji with terrifying power. "Your Excellency, no, Senior." Seeing that the other party ignored him, Suwaji was indeed a little panicked, and began to give in. He hurriedly said, "Senior is so powerful and talented that he is the best in the past and present. It is really admirable. The gap between you and us is too big, so why bother to reduce the dimensionality to attack us?" Suwaji continued, "You are here today probably for the purpose of reviving your spiritual energy. You just draw a line and state your intentions and position. If you conflict with us, we will leave now and will never be enemies with our seniors," Suwaji said in a timid voice. "Grandpa." Seeing this, Su Yang couldn't help but ask, "Aren't you Suwaji who has dominated an era? You are extremely domineering, dare to compete with the way of heaven, go against the will of heaven, and break the ominous situation. Why are you so defeated now? You can't beat him. Are you going to give in immediately?" "Master, what do you know? Special treatment in special circumstances." Suwaji secretly sent a message from his soul, "There are only 3 of us here, plus the subordinate next to you. If we join forces, we may not be the opponent of the person in front of us. Instead of fighting until the end and being wiped out by her, it's better to give in and leave this place first." Suwaji continued to send a message, "Of course, we will not give up on the spiritual energy recovery, but we cannot be stubborn. It will not be too late to find opportunities when our helpers have arrived." When Su Yang heard his great-great-grandfather's explanation, he shook his head with a smile, turned to look at Su Yu, and smiled softly, "Okay, Yu, come back, he is your great-great-grandfather, don't scare him." "Yeah." When Su Yu heard this, her face was as cold as ice. She immediately changed her expression and gave Suwaji a playful smile. Then she ran all the way, threw herself into Su Yang's arms, and shouted crisply, "Dad, Yu wants to damn you." "Ha ha, Yo, Dad misses you too." Su Yang picked up Su Yu, rubbed his daughter's little head, and smiled fondly, "We haven't seen you for half a year. Yu has gained a lot of weight." "Yes, but Dad, I grow vertically." "I have grown taller without getting fatter," Su Yu emphasized, with a very serious face. "Ha ha, I know. Yu has a good figure, and Dad didn't say you were fat." Su Yang smiled softly. "Not far away." After Su Yu put away her power, Suwaji breathed a sigh of relief, feeling like he was surviving a disaster, breathing heavily, looking a little embarrassed, but also a little lucky. But when he saw Su Yang hugging Su Yu and talking and laughing, especially when he learned about their relationship, Suwaji's head was buzzing and he looked confused. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 860. What do you mean? Dad. That scary little girl turned out to be Su Yang's father. Could it be that she is Su Yang's daughter? That should be it. Su Yang was already holding that scary little girl. She looked like a loving father and a filial daughter. It was so warm. Su Yang is her father, and I am Su Yang's great-great-grandfather. So, wouldn't I be her great-great-grandfather? Damn it! After coming to this conclusion, Suwaji was immediately excited. All the previous negative emotions disappeared, and his eyes were full of excitement. He hurried to Su Yang and Su Yu and asked urgently, "Master, is this little girl your daughter?" Su Yang smiled softly and said, "Her name is Su Yuyu, she is indeed my daughter, and she and Su Xing are twins." "Yuyu, I told you just now, this is your great-great-grandfather, Su Wuzi, the legendary Su Wuzi, call someone quickly," Su Yang said with a smile. "Hello, great-grandfather." Su Yuyu looked at Su Wuji and said in a sweet voice, completely different from the cold and fierce look before. "Hey, great-great-granddaughter, you are so outstanding." Su Wuji grinned from ear to ear and said excitedly, "I thought that if our Su family had a proud man like your father, it would be like smoke rising from the ancestral graves. I even planned to tear up the family tree. Start with your dad. But who would have known that you are even more talented than him, and you are not even your match against me." Su Wuji said excitedly, "I have decided, Yuyu, the family tree needs to be rewritten, and it starts with you." "Great-great-grandfather." After hearing her great-grandfather's praise, Su Yuyu blushed slightly and said sheepishly, "Actually, I'm not very powerful myself. It's all because of the wide-sleeved flowing fairy skirt I'm wearing. It's called deep sea blue. It's what makes me so powerful. I have great strength. I can see it, but you are also very strong." Su Wuji smiled softly and said, "You are in the ancient martial arts system. Now, you are already at the peak of martial arts. At such a young age, you have broken through the land martial arts and reached the realm of martial arts. You are really a monster. My great-great-grandfather received the award. Compared with you, Yuyu is far behind." Su Yuyu said modestly, she was quiet and very likable. "Don't be arrogant in victory and don't be discouraged in defeat. Ha ha ha, you have such a good character. I like it. You and Su Xing are like the sky and the earth. Two extreme contrasts." Su Wuji laughed heartily. The more he looked at Su Yuyu, the more he liked her. He was so satisfied with his offspring. But, smiling, Su Wuji remembered what had just happened. His face suddenly turned ugly, his eyes fell on Su Yang, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Master, what do you mean? You know that Yuyu is my great-great-granddaughter, but you still is it fun to watch me fight with her and be tortured by her?" Cough. Su Yang was slightly embarrassed and quickly explained, "Grandpa, you misunderstood me. I just want to test Yuyu's fighting power. To be honest, I just found out today that Yuyu got the blue of the deep sea and gained great strength. She told me this through her own voice." Su Yang explained, "I can't be sure, so I can only let you, Grandpa, take a shot at Yuyu's current strength." "Well, that's probably it. So, Grandpa, don't get me wrong, I really didn't mean to tease you," Su Yang finally added. "Come on, what do you think, do I still know?" Su Wuji wanted to scold him, but when he saw Su Yang's face, he thought that this was the reincarnation of his master, so he gave up the idea of scolding him as an elder. However, he felt really uncomfortable because he had been teased, which made Su Wuji look unhappy. Seeing this, Su Yang quickly changed the topic and asked casually, "Grandpa, how do you know the realm of martial master? Isn't this the realm that I started the reform of ancient martial arts and re-established? Did you reset it?" When Su Wuji heard this, he seemed to have heard a big joke, and curled his lips and said, "Don't be joking, this realm existed in the Xianqin period. It was created by a proud daughter of heaven during the Xianqin period. The ancient martial arts system has the same faults as the cultivation system, but the ancient martial arts system is more ruthless. After the land of martial arts, there is no way out." Su Wuji continued, "But during the immortal Qin period, there were land martial gods everywhere, including martial masters, martial saints, and even several in the realm of martial gods. Moreover, there is a realm beyond the god of martial arts. The proud daughter of heaven has stepped into the realm of martial emperor. She is the best in ancient and modern times. She is worthy of being the first person in this ancient martial arts." Su Wuji glanced at Su Yang and said, you said you created the realm of Wuzun and beyond. Haha, it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. If people from the Xianqin period knew about this, they would definitely laugh out loud. There was a martial lord during the immortal Qin period. Su Yang was shocked when he heard this, and his eyes were full of doubts. It's impossible. Didn't I just take this realm casually half a year ago? Ha ha ha, Your Majesty, what Su Wazi said is completely true at this time. Bai Qi couldn't help laughing. What's completely true? People in the immortal Qin period will laugh out loud when they hear that you created the realm of Wuzun and beyond. This sentence is completely true. Bai Qi laughed while talking. I am from the Xianqin period, and now my teeth are almost falling out from laughing. Ha ha, ha ha ha. Roll. Stop laughing. Su Yang knew Bai Qi was joking, so he said with a dark face, smile again, and I will knock out your teeth one by one. When Bai Qi saw Su Yang's dark face, he shut his mouth in an instant and stood aside honestly. During the immortal Qin period, were there really realms such as Martial Master, Martial Saint, and Martial God? Su Yang asked at this time. Reporting to Your Majesty, yes. Bai Qi said seriously, you are very familiar with the person who created the system and reached the top. It is Xianyuan Zhengxiu. Back then, Xianyuan divine knowledge was the only one in the world, unparalleled in ancient and modern times. She had no rivals on earth. Even if she was as strong as the ancestral dragon, she would still be weaker than her. Okay, I know she is very powerful and awesome, don't repeat it again. Su Yang interrupted, then his mind was filled with thoughts. This was obviously a new realm created by him. How could it be the same as the Xianqin period? Martial Lord, Martial Saint, Martial God. The names of these three realms all sound awesome. Whichever one comes first seems to work. Is there such a coincidence? Or? Suddenly, Su Yang seemed to have thought of something and suddenly realized it. Half a year ago, when the ancient martial arts changed, the realm after the land martial god was achieved by Xue'er. Since it coincides with the realm of the Xianqin period, Xue'er must have some secrets that I don't know about. After thinking about this, Su Yang completely understood. When he thought about Zhufeng Mountain, he suddenly felt that Jianshan Snow was a bit more mysterious. Although Jian Shangxiu is the leader of the Nine Peaks Alliance, her level is not high and her experience and qualifications are average. Why is she the only one who can lie in the ice coffin and suppress the great terror Jingke below? It can be seen from this that Jian Shangxiu's identity is not ordinary, or in other words, her body is extraordinary. Otherwise, it will never be able to suppress the possessed Jingke. Su Yang then remembered that he had seen Jianshan Shui lying in an ice coffin. The aura emanating from his body was indeed terrifying and so powerful that Su Yang felt timid. But, what is the origin of Jianshan Snow? Is it possible that she has any connection with Xianyuan Zhengxiu, the proud daughter of heaven in the immortal Qin period? Never mind. If you don't understand, maybe you can ask Wang Yangming about this and talk about it later. With this thought in his mind, Su Yang stopped continuing this topic and said, in a few hours, the spiritual energy recovery will begin. Bai Qi, great-grandfather, we don't have to go anywhere, just stay here and wait. The revival of spiritual energy has arrived. As for Yo-Yo, Su Yang's eyes fell on Su Yo-Yo, feeling slightly embarrassed. Normally speaking, with Su Yo-Yo's ability to put on the blue of the deep sea, staying here will definitely be of great use. After all, even the Emperor realm cannot harm her. But Su Yang was worried that if something unexpected happened, a more powerful person came from outside the territory, or more than one immortal emperor came, then Su Yo-Yo would be in danger if she stayed. Therefore, Su Yang didn't know what to choose for a while. Dad. At this time, Su Yo-Yo held Su Yang's hand and said seriously, I'm here today just to help you. I want to advance and retreat together with you. I'm not going anywhere. Besides, I have the blue of the deep sea, and even the imperial realm can't break my defense. I'll be fine, just let me stay, Su Yu requested, while holding Su Yang's arm and acting coquettishly. Su Yang did not agree immediately, but looked at Su Wuzi next to him, and only agreed when he saw his grandfather nodded. Okay, you can stay, but, you have to listen to my arrangements and you can't make your own decisions when things happen, Su Yang said seriously. Okay, Yu will listen to daddy in everything, Su Yu said obediently. Su Yang nodded, then hugged Su Yu and sat down next to her. It was a tender moment between father and daughter. Su Wuji next to him wanted to come over and talk to him, but Su Yu was very perfunctory with him. This made Su Wuji feel like an outsider and felt resentful. Not happy. Obviously I am the ancestor, why do I make the father and daughter act like ancestors? As for Bai Qi, he stood aside with his eyes closed and adjusted his breath, ready to deal with the revival of spiritual energy at any time. A few hours later, night falls in the Su family manor. Wang Yangming has completely refined the life-saving elixir, and has completely recovered from his injuries. He has returned to the quasi-emperor state, and his aura is as deep as the sea. Su family manor. Pooh. I was robbed twice here. I never want to see this bullshit place again in my life. With this thought in his mind, Wang Yangming opened his palms, with fire boiling in them, intending to burn down the Su family manor. But, after thinking about it carefully, Wang Yangming finally gave up and dispersed the fire in his palm. Forget it, this is the territory of the Su family, the people of the Su family can't afford to offend. Just one Su Wuji is extremely powerful, and with Su Yang in charge, there is also a little girl who is even more proud of tomorrow. Su Wuji said with a bitter smile to himself, if I burn this place down and they find out, and they use this as an excuse to blackmail me, then I will be in big trouble. Forget it, I'd better leave this unfortunate place as soon as possible. Hey. Wang Yangming sighed, and then walked out of the Su family manor, preparing to head to Dongshan Cave Mansion. Buzz. Brake. But at this moment, a luxury sports car stopped in front of Wang Yangming. Immediately afterwards, a beautiful woman in her 30s got out of the driver's seat and walked straight towards Wang Yangming. Wang Yangming, stop. At this time, the beautiful woman spoke. The voice of an intellectual elder sister was intoxicating. You. The reason why I married you was to be husband and wife with you for 3 years, because I owe you, and I will make it up to you in this life. Don't come here. Who knows if you have been pretending all these years and deliberately trying to make me happy. Call. Zhao Yunzi hugged her arms and said seriously and domineeringly, anyway, Wang Yangming, I won't allow you to leave me. I want you to be my husband forever, stay by my side, and accompany me throughout my life. Wang Yangming breathed a long sigh of relief, then smiled bitterly and said, honey, didn't I make everything clear to you before I left? Wrong. Zhao Yunzi interrupted, Wang Yangming, you have read too many stupid novels, haven't you? How many times have I told you not to read those God of War novels? It's like a brain retard. The 3-year period has come, haven't you? I also want to say that you have the Dragon King's order and can summon 100,000 soldiers to return for you. After Wang Yangming heard the beautiful woman's words, he immediately stopped and stood aside obediently. You can speak now, Zhao Yunzi said impatiently. A majestic quasi-emperor was controlled by a beautiful woman with just one word. I'm sorry, honey, I can't, I still have to save the world. But this beautiful woman is not a cultivator or an ancient warrior, she is just an ordinary person. Wang Yangming smiled and babbled a lot, trying to relieve his embarrassment. Now that the 3-year period has arrived, I have more important things to do, so. The 3-year period has expired. In recent years, Wang Yangming has worked as a door-to-door son-in-law in the Zhao family. he has been humiliated and miserable every day. Zhao Yunzi walked up to Wang Yangming, with a hint of anger on her beautiful face. Wang Yangming, I'm so good to you, why did you secretly leave the Zhao family and come to Jiangbei? Are you raising a mistress in Jiangbei? Zhao Yunzi is indeed an ordinary person, but for some special reasons, her words are orders that Wang Yangming has to obey. Wang Yangming left a word, and then his body instantly disappeared on the spot, leaving only Zhao Yunzi with a face full of astonishment. So, Zhao Yunzi asked Wang Yangming to stop just now, but he was forced to stop. His legs seemed to be filled with lead and he could not move forward a step. Depend on. Wang Yangming was controlled. It wasn't that he didn't want to walk, but that he couldn't walk at all. He had lost control of his legs and was completely inoperable. Wang Yangming is a bride-in-law. To be precise, Wang Yangming is Zhao Yunzi's husband. Because Zhao Yunzi told Wang Yangming to shut up, Wang Yangming could not speak and could only moan. Wang Yangming's body would be out of control and he would do exactly what Zhao Yunzi wanted, leaving no room for resistance. The beautiful woman named Zhao Yunzi is the wife of Wang Yangming's matchmaker. Shut up. Wang Yangming touched the bridge of his nose awkwardly, and then explained, but, wife, everything I said is true, and you know it. I can't lie in front of you. I will obey whatever you say without any control. When Wang Yangming saw the beautiful lady, he was immediately startled. He was so frightened that he turned around and ran away. That's not the case. Follow your words. Hey, wife, why are you here? Go home quickly. It's cold at night, so be careful of catching a cold. Also, it's dark, and there are a lot of bad people. You're so beautiful, if you encounter